Do you believe that two people can do something so unnatural that it leaves a stain on them? And that the stain goes on to their children? And to their children's children?
It's always the quiet places where the mad shit happens.
There's an old farmhouse not too far down that way.
Did you find someone?
Well, I did, but he needs our help.
Can't be selfish sea monster.
Mark, run! Run, Mark!
His house.
Not really.
You are so lucky she didn't kill you. It's extraordinary.
It's okay. I'm alright.
There's no name for what we are.
You're throwing a party. It's a welcome party for me. We're leaving in a fortnight. It's just a goodbye party, whatever. Tequila!
Something alien. You don't believe me? None of this.
You were drunk. If we taint our blood with booze, we're poisonous sweet.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 256 of the Triple Shots of Moodz and Or podcast is coming at you live and direct with the homie JP, also known as the Mexican, Mr. Saucedo, also known as Tyler, and I'll be your host, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, dudes? Yeah.
What's up?
Yo.
You know, just chilling in the lab. Still pretty pumped up over those fights from last night, man. The fucking UFC fights were great, man. That was a good card.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's always good to have a really good card. I mean, honestly, man, most of the cards of like recent memory have been pretty solid. So
Yeah.
you're not really
It's
too
been a little
disappointed,
while
but-
since there's been a really bad one.
Yeah, it has been a while, man. Even some of those like fight night cards and shit are pretty good and stuff. So, but even like the undercards last night were good too. Like some good fucking fights, man. Like it's pretty solid. So good time to be a UFC fan. A lot of good fights and shit. So
Yeah, I remember back in when they did like UFC 100, like 101 was a stacked card too. They didn't like reverse this year where like 299 was stacked and 300 stacked.
yeah, dude, the undercards on 300 are fucking bananas, dude. It's like all ranked fighters. Like it's a crazy card, man.
Yeah,
So-
plus you got Jim Miller fighting who fought at UFC 100 and 200.
Yeah, and
like
300.
it's
That's
insane.
Dude, I thought that was the craziest stat ever. Like, how in the fuck could you still be fighting? Like, that's bananas.
Dude. And he's still winning too.
I know.
You
Like,
know what I mean?
Like, that is like beyond. Like, some people are just on like just made differently, man. Like Vera last night, like the dude took fucking 200 punches. He took a knee to the head that sounded like a fucking baseball bat hitting a baseball, and he didn't even go down. And I thought the craziest stat that they said last night about Vera was like, he's never even been knocked down in his career. Like, let alone knocked out, he's never been knocked down. I'm like, how is that even humanly possible? I mean, he literally took 200 fucking punches, and O'Malley has that one punch knockout power, and he couldn't take him out, man. Like Vera's built differently, man.
The knee was insane. That might be the hardest shot that I've ever seen not affect somebody.
Dude, me and the wife literally looked at each other and went, what the fuck is this guy's made of steel, man? Like literally, like he's not human. Fucking RoboCop, impressive. Man. Like we just could not make sense of what was happening. Like it was pretty punishing though. Like O'Malley beat the shit out of him for like 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And like to not go down after 25 minutes and that many, like it's just beyond me, man. That was something you honestly had to see to believe. Like if you described that to somebody, you'd be like, no way. But
yeah, that's like as someone who doesn't watch UFC. Like,
yeah, that's pretty uncommon for somebody to take that much damn punishment and
like it doesn't sound like something that's real.
No, it doesn't. It was really wild, man. Like, fuck, I don't know. But it was good to see Poirier fucking back in the winning circle. Yeah, really good fight, actually. Look good out there, so.
Yeah, never lost 2 in a row.
No. So
I've always said that Poirier is like the best UFC fighter to never win a title.
I actually agree with that, man. He's an exciting, really good fighter. And
he's always ranked like top 5 too. Like he's been like I saw a statistic the other day or something that said that he's been in like the top 10 for like 10 years or some crazy shit like that.
Well, that's like that other dude, like that Russian. Who was the guy that fought last night? The other, the Russian dude or whatever. He's been in like a top 10 for like 15 years, I swear too. What the fuck is that guy? I always forget his name. It's like bananas though. Like he's been. What's his name? Yan.
Oh, Peter Yan. Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy's been ranked forever too, man. Like he was a champion at one time though.
Yeah, O'Malley.
But he's been in a top 10 ranking for fucking ever, dude. Like that guy just
actually
hangs around.
He actually, a lot of people think he beat O'Malley in their fight.
It was a no contest, wasn't there? Something like that. What happened in that one?
No, he won by split decision.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But freaking Peter Yan. But then after that's the fight that got O'Malley the title shot against Sterling when he beat Peter Yan.
Right.
Because Peter Yan was the champion, and then he lost the belt due to disqualification against Aljo.
Right.
And then Aljo beat him in the rematch.
Right. But yeah, like Jan, he's been ranked forever, man. Like that guy just hangs around, keeps winning fights. It's nuts. But yeah, he's a good little fighter, man. I like watching him. Yeah. And he fought a tough opponent last night in that sing song guy. And he fucking demolished him, man. Like he was fucking bad.
I know that fight caused me to lose my parlay. Because I picked Song Yadong.
I think we all were going with Song on that one. And Yan, actually the wife would pick Yan. She's like, I think I'm gonna go for Yan. I'm like, man, I don't know about this. But no, he showed up. He was getting beat down, and then he fucking just showed up and just did his thing. So, but that's UFC, man.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah, really, really good night, man. I actually got friends that are going to UFC 300 in Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't tell us what the tickets were worth, and I'm assuming that's a lot of money.
A lot of money has to be.
Like I heard some of the cheap tickets were like outrageous prices, and I'm like, oh my god. Like,
well, apparently this last night's card in Miami did like 14 million at the gate or something like that, which is fucking insane.
Wow. Big market, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, so Dana was saying at the press conference that Miami is like becoming like a major market.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to go down there because like it's nice weather. I mean,
right.
You know, I mean, all the markets in the South are like getting so big now. Like, you know, even take the NHL. Like all the teams that did all the big moves even last year and this year were like all those southern sunny teams. Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Like it's so weird how all these teams are just getting so huge. I would have never thought like the Florida Panthers would be what they are. Like it's funny to think that like Florida has a couple different ice hockey teams. You know what I mean? It's just like it seems like an odd place to have like two hockey teams.
Like they both have good fan bases. People love the Panthers now down there.
Oh yeah. But well, I mean,
Florida teams.
I mean, honestly, how could you? I mean, the Lightning have their fan base obviously because they've been so good for so long with their Stanley Cups and everything, and like But it's just I always find it's just funny to me. Even California having so many teams and shit. It's just like sunny California. Let's go play hockey in California. It's so strange. But then again, I mean, look at Austin Matthews. Like, he comes from fucking
Arizona.
Phoenix. Yeah, like he's from that area. Like, that's
he's half
really...
Mexican, right?
Is he really?
I think his mom's Mexican.
Is he really?
I'm pretty sure he's half Mexican, so that like always makes me laugh.
That's
even
cool.
Yeah, because there's not too many Latino freaking
It would make sense because he's from Arizona. So
right. Yeah, huge Mexican area. So yeah, it makes sense. But I actually didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, even as a Bruins fan, like Austin Matthews is probably my favorite player in the NHL.
Well, it's funny because like I'm a huge Crosby fan, right? And of course, it's JP's team.
Oh yeah, I love Crosby. It was always Team Crosby growing up. People be like, Crosby's a wuss. Like, no, he's not. Like, Ovechkin just like fucking.
Anytime I get these Philadelphia fans coming to my work, they're always calling him Crosby and stuff, and I'm like, dude, you guys are so lame, bro.
It's because he's just good and he continues to be.
But it's like he's not even like soft. I can see you like criticizing like McDavid.
I know, like,
that's like, which is like not even an issue. But like Crosby's not soft. Like Crosby fights people when it comes to like.
And he throws his weight, man. Like he's a good player, man.
And
like,
he's been hit so hard and shit like that too, bro.
Yeah.
He's like he was just cooked like in the prime of his career because like he was just getting pounded on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so insane. He's had the career he has with missing like three, like in like basically like a season and a half.
Yeah, he missed a lot of fucking games, man. Like, and then to come back and then just do what he did. You know,
like never misses the beat.
No, it's pretty crazy stuff, man. But yeah, I think it's like a foreign concept to people because like, me being a huge Blue Jays fan my entire life, my favorite player growing up was Ken Griffey Jr. And of course he played for Seattle at that time. Myself being a center fielder, I looked up to him as he was like my hero because he was a center fielder, right?
Ken Griffey Sr. used to always stay at my property.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
probably he probably was at one point in his career.
And it was people were like, man, how can you? Like, I even have a Griffey jersey that I wear, and people are like, oh, you're a Seattle fan. I'm like, no, I'm a Ken Griffey Jr. fan. So like people just can't separate the teams from like the players and stuff, right? Like
even then, like I can't even think of like, oh, my favorite Red Sox is this person. But I was a kid, I loved Cal Ripken Jr. Like that was my guy.
Right.
Yeah, both Ken Griffeys were born like 15 minutes from my old job.
That's cool, man. Yeah, they actually got to play together on the same team. I think in 80, like Griffey Jr.'s rookie year. Yeah,
it was when he was coming in and his dad was going out.
And he was literally retiring that year, and then they got to play a season together. It's kind of crazy. Like, that's pretty cool, right? To play with your dad on a major league team. It's pretty neat.
Didn't Gordie Howe play with his kid, too?
I think he did.
That's pretty fucking rare, I would imagine, for father-son to be on any type of team.
Because Gordie Howe was still playing in the late 70s, right?
Yeah, he was just not playing in the NHL, and then his kid
he was playing. He was playing in the other professional league at the time.
Yeah,
and the league that merged with the NHL after. That's where the Oilers
like the WHA or something, right?
Yeah. So it was like remember when the NFL had basically had a rival.
I didn't know. I don't remember that actually. I didn't.
Yeah, so like a lot of the draft picks were going to that league. There is going to be like the new thing, and then the shit. I think Trump fucked that one up actually, to be honest, because he was involved with it, and they went too big and stuff. It's a really good documentary actually.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
And so that league folded, and then all those teams all those players and shit went into the NFL, and the NFL's the NFL. But that's pretty much what happened in the NHL with that other league too. There was a lot of guys over there, and then that shit folded. Oilers came in the NHL and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But pretty interesting stories, actually. Those documentaries, I learned a lot, but those are great for learning.
I feel like I got cheated from having the Whalers because like Hartford's like 30 minutes from my house.
Right. And like, man, honestly, man, the Hartford Whalers have one of the coolest logos of all time. Like that HW, it's so cool, man. I love it.
There's a team I always played growing up that like they were always affiliate of the Whalers, and when the Whalers left town, they just stayed. So like we play against this team called like they were still called the Whalers. They're just like in a different city in Connecticut near Hartford. And like when they had the same colors and everything, they had like, the same logo, and then when they scored, the Whalers music would play. It was so annoying because it'd always whoop our ass, and we'd have to hear that stupid song like 7 times a game.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Actually, that's where Gordie Howe was actually playing for that team in that league at that time. Like, it's so fucking nuts that he played in like, but he showed up in a couple different games like later on. Like he played in like 6 or 7 different decades. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's nuts. He was like 52 or something. Like when he was playing like in 1980. Like
Yeah.
literally fucking like slap shot like Paul Newman on the ice.
I know. And he was like still tough in those old ages too, man. Like by that time he had old man strength and shit. Like you still didn't fuck with Gordie Howe, man.
He's like that guy in your beer league team that's like old, but he still just like fucking gets in there and like
It's still like my favorate thing.
I
One of my
love it.
favorite NHL terms is scoring the Gordie Howe hat trick. You know, you get a goal and assist and you get into a fight, right? And like one of my favorite players of all time is Doug Gilmour, right? Ex-Leaf and stuff. And he was kind of the same way. Like he could score goals. He was more known for passing and stuff. Like very, very good setup guy in those days. But he would fight also, right? So he was kind of like that generation's Gordie Howe in a sense, right?
yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Like-
And he was a smaller dude. Like he was small, not like big like Gordie Howe, but he'd throw him around. And yeah, Gilmore was feisty fucker, man. I love that dude. So, sports talk. Everyone tuned out. No one's listening anymore. Episode 256, man. Irish Horror Volume 2. I was doing like a quick little search and it was like episode 131 was Volume 1. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That is a long fucking time ago. We did, what did we do? We did Byzantium, The Canal, and I believe Isolation. So that was a pretty good show. Yeah, so that was those three films in Volume 1. So what we got coming up tonight, we got Grabbers from 2012, From the Dark 2014, and The Lodgers from 2017. So pretty cool stuff. Yeah. You know what I was thinking the other day, man? Like the internet is such a funny place, dude. Like it's amazing like how fucking over gullible people are when shit gets posted on the internet. They're like instantly reposting this shit. Like, man, it's so fucking cool. Like I was thinking about how funny that shit was with the Nightmare on Elm Street TV series with like DJ Qualls playing Freddy and stuff like that. Like I saw that shit reposted for like 2 straight days, people thinking it was fucking real. I was like, dude,
I can usually look at something and instantly tell it's fake. Instantly.
That's why I posted in the group and I was like, dude, this is obviously, and I'm just laughing at myself going, like, it wasn't even 5 minutes later. I went into our group page and it was already reposted there. Like, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, oh my God, it's not happening, dude. Like, it's just not happening. But it's pretty funny though. But could you imagine though, like actually DJ Qualls playing Freddy?
Who said that they wanted to play Freddy? Somebody just said something about it. I forget who it was though. Oh, who the hell was it? I think it was like I can't remember. But I have a question for you guys. Saw something on Facebook today. Let's say we had a guest on, right? And we recorded a show and then we put the show out and then they were like, "You put that show out already?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, I wanted to like give it the okay first and make sure I didn't sound stupid or something. And then they made us take it down and they wanted to re-record it. What would you say?
No.
I would literally laugh and be like, what are you fucking I'm like, well, you're a guest on my show. I'm going to release what I want to release.
Right. Like
it's like what, like until you
like
think
who
it's
gives
okay, like what set of standards are we applying to that?
What fucking guess is this that they're like, no, I have to approve what I said on your show?
Here's is it still, let me see if the post is still up.
That's some pretty fucking narcissistic shit right there, to be honest.
They're probably like 21 years old.
Okay, so here's the post from Don and Ellie. So I just wanted to mention this real quickly, but there's no new episode of the Horror Countdown podcast today. After publishing the episode and sharing it with my guest star, they were against to learn it was already live as they wanted to give pre-approval to the episode before releasing. It's a factor we both take in fault. They failed to tell me clearly that's what they wanted when we were done recording, and I heard them mention something about it, but it was brushed off as nothing important. So when it was live, they told me they wanted to give pre-approval to the episode, and we've agreed to re-record it later on.
I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, so I need to approve this after we record," I'd be like, "Okay, we're just not going to do this because I'm not going to waste my time."
Exactly. I just feel like, nah, then we're just not going to do this.
Yeah.
I just don't have time for shit like that, man. Like people can say whatever they want on the show. I don't fucking care. I mean,
I said what the fuck? And then Dawn said, I don't know. It was weird when it happened. I shared it with them and they said they wanted pre-approval to make sure they came off okay.
So do you know who this guest was?
No, I don't.
Oh,
so I had to
If
take
it was
down.
like some random, like someone like you're inviting on, like that's like.
I'm assuming this person
that's-
probably has another podcast there's known or something like that, because who like if you
it's like even if you have another podcast, like dude, fucking grow up. But like
but that's the sensitivity
the
of like this.
only that's what I mean. The only scenario I can humor like this idea at all is if they got like a like you know, like some sort of celebrity on it that like they probably would want pre-approval before like it goes out there.
Right.
But I think if they were dealing with a professional like that, like you know, someone you'd see at a horror convention, just for instance, like they would probably make that clear. They wouldn't mention it on the air.
Yeah, I mean, like if we, you know, say if we had like, just for
He
example,
said
like,
this happened once other before, which is just crazy to me. So
That's
they can
really
re-record
weird.
that show, which I would be like, fuck off with that.
Yeah, I would.
I
be
would
like,
never
"That's
record
okay."
the show in the first place, man. If someone came to me and said, "Hey, I'll guest on your show, but after we record, I need to prove
I want final
how the
cut.
show is," I'd be like,
Final cut, yeah.
no, I'm like, okay, what is this, like studio interference? I'm like, no, we're the directors here. We're going to put out our director's cut, you know?
Yeah, dude,
Go fuck
that's
yourself.
crazy to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's essentially an actor telling the director that they want final cut, right?
That's it's exactly what it is, dude. That's ludicrous.
That's just a crazy level of narcissism.
I know. Like, I'm just like, what? Like, and
Oh my God.
and his show is a top 10 countdown show. Every episode is a top 10 list.
What? That's so much work.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think they do it the way we do.
They probably
yeah,
don't do it
okay.
the way we do, but
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
If honestly, man, if we were doing it, like we would have like 2 a year. We'd have 2 shows a year.
yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
if that was the theme of the show, man, that's
Yeah,
crazy. 'Cause, like,
I've seen some other podcasts. They'll do the same thing. They'll have guests on. They'll have like a short little list for a topic, and like nobody watched the movies. They just like rattle it off like their list.
Yeah. Which
So-
is fine, you know, but that's just not how we do it.
Yeah, that's just I guess that is
Yeah,
like more
some
than
some
fine.
people
It
just don't want to put in the
you know
time
how
or don't have the
we do
time.
it. You know how we do it. Smoky from Friday.
It's like
Monkey.
this is the way
Yeah.
this is the way I'm interested in it anyway. So I can see like, okay, maybe somebody's just not that level, doesn't need that level of a
I'm
person
still
to
Term,
be
I
interested.
mean, big worm.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. This is like a crazy thing. Like the fact that it happened to him once before is just blowing my mind.
I
Like,
know, dude. I was like, damn.
I mean, we've had a fair share of guests on the show over the years. Like, this is episode 256. Like, we've had a lot of guests on here over the years. Like, I think we actually counted. Like, it's like 20 something. I don't know, different people.
Yeah, probably around there now.
Yeah. And like, I can guarantee you one thing: not one of those guests said, "Hey, I want final approval or final cut on this show." Like, go
Yeah.
fuck yourself, man. Like, honestly, like if say, for example, Venom is like, "Hey, just by the way, like, you know, I'd be like, bro, I don't care.
Yeah,
Regarding the show, it's going out, man. Like,
I ain't got time for that shit.
no, just no, not happening, bro. That's a crazy thing, man. So did Dawn actually re-record the show with this guest?
I guess he's scheduling it to
Oh my God.
re-record.
See, I would just say fuck that. I would just actually just move on from it, get a different guest, or just move on from that, because I would feel very uncomfortable actually doing that.
Yeah,
I would pretty much be like, you know what? Let's just skip this one.
Yeah,
But it's not the same though. Like when you record a show, like you can't just duplicate that.
It's really hard
Yeah,
to.
'cause
You
then it
almost need
feels
time to
weird.
go by. You need like a month to go by.
Yeah.
it feels rehearsed at that point.
Because
Yeah.
there's times where we've lost recordings and had to like redo shows, and it's like it's literally horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not full. Like I don't think we've ever did, like. I don't even think we said the same shit. I just think we just did different shit because it was like
Right.
it felt repetitive.
Yeah, it's like, you know what everyone's gonna say. It's like it's a little weird.
I'm curious what the top 10 was now.
Yeah, because what they don't do years and stuff. They do like specific themes, like top 10, like
Yeah, like-
slashers and stuff, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think sometimes they do years.
yeah.
I was supposed to guest on one of them, but I might have forgot or something.
Interesting. Yeah, I was on fucking Bloody Disgusting today. I was just clicked on the website and I noticed that Carpenter announced another one of his albums, man. Lost Themes 4, Noir. I was like, that's fucking awesome, man. It's crazy how much he's pumping those things out, man, but they're all really good. That was pretty cool. But I swear that we were talking about this. I don't know if it was like on the show or maybe it was like pre-game or after, whatever, but I've mentioned this before on the show. Like, I'm really quite surprised that they never made another sequel to Final Destination, right? Because the 5th one, I think, did pretty well and stuff, but I guess there is...
it's filming.
They're filming the 6th one right now, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But I mean, like, to be honest, like, what was taking so long to make a 6th one? Because that franchise was pretty successful, right?
Probably had to do with the fact that it was Dimension.
Oh, fuck, totally. Didn't even think about that. No. Actually, that makes a lot of sense now, totally. Right.
It is Dimension, right?
Yep. Pretty sure, yeah. That's crazy. But
I was gonna say, just for example,
that would be another roundup show too, right there.
Dawn's shows it's called the Horror Countdown Podcast. The last episode they did was claustrophobic films, and then they did top 10 monster villain entrances, top 10 killer kid films, top 10 public domain horror films.
Yeah, it's really hard to prep for something like that.
Top 10 Australian horror films. That one's easy. Top 10 Christmas themed, which we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's gonna be this year's.
Oh
Christmas
yeah, that's right. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, instead of doing
awesome.
instead of doing like straight reviews, it's going to be a specific top 10
show,
which I would like to get into next season. Like we've talked about doing like specific top 10 shows. Like I think I have it like in our Google page where it's like just one of them that's mentioned like top 10 werewolves and stuff, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. So
I think we're going to do the
Christmas. Do you think the prep on that would be lighter or harder?
What?
Honestly, dude, there's not that many fucking werewolf. Like you think the
werewolf wouldn't be that bad. Vampire, on the other hand, would be brutal.
Yeah, see, vampires is brutal, dude, and zombie films is brutal. Like
brutal.
But like honestly, like going through the vaults, it's like Bigfoot films. Like there's variations of them, but if you look at the overall amount of them, there's not that many.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to come up with 10 Bigfoot films.
Yeah, see, that would be a tough top 10 because there's so many bad ones. There really is. There's more bad ones than good ones for sure. But like werewolves, I think like there's enough of them that you could make a solid top 10, but there's not like an overabundance where it's going to take you like 8 months to fucking prep for it. You know what I mean? Like honestly, vampire films would be dreadful. Like it would be tough. I don't even know where to start on that. It's like you think there's a ton of slashers. There's a lot of vampire movies, man. Tons. Yeah. Fuck.
There's a shitload of vampire.
There's a lot of good vampire films too, though.
Yeah, like really good ones. That would be tough competition.
Yeah, there is, man.
I mean, just the Hammer alone.
Yeah, like the later Hammer shit.
Hammer and Universal, like
from the early 70s, like they put out some good vampire films in those years, like Twins of Evil and shit.
Hell, I mean, even what was that one, Captain Kronos, that we did on
Kronos
More cool. Challenge? That was a good one. That was like a little gem. That
is a good film, yep. Yeah, so I mean, there's endless ideas if you're going to break it down to themes for top 10 shows, but oh god, speaking of like werewolf films, there's a new one coming out called Cocaine Werewolf, of course. So there's an obvious top 10er right there. Oh yeah, JP, I wanted to mention that you went and saw Imaginary. Like, man, I've seen about 30 people post and said it was the worst shit ever.
It was like, really bad.
Like, is it really that bad? Like,
So this was actually the first film I saw in the theater this year, which is crazy for me. This is definitely usually on week 1 of January, I'm seeing something.
Yeah, well, I saw Night Swim and that movie was horrible, and I'm like,
this movie's worse than Night Swim.
Both of them are Blumhouse too, right?
So honestly, man, like 2023 for me was terrible. Like I saw like 18 or 19 theatrical horror films, and like it was a mixed bag. But like, so this would be my second film of the year, and I'm obviously going to be 0 for 2. Like the 24 is, just it's taking off like where 23 left off, man.
Yeah,
dude, somebody said that it felt like a AI written horror film, and
that was me,
dude. It's actually pretty accurate statement.
It's like if you gave it like the best of Blumhouse, like Insidious, like Smile, like just gave them all those movies and say, "Give me something."
Megan,
new. This is what you would get.
Wow. Dude, but the thing is, like, it had some decent ideas in it, and some like there were like 1 or 2 moments where I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." but it got like, even especially in the third act, like it got like cringe bad.
I definitely agree with you, because it's not like I wasn't like enjoying just like sitting here like watching this. Like I thought like once like she brought the boy over the house, I was like, this is like getting retarded.
Man.
Yeah,
but like that last act, it fell apart real.
Well, the last act, when it first starts, you're like, oh, this is cool. It's like, it was like Hellraiser, like the what is it, the
Lament configuration.
The labyrinth, though, like at the end of
the
Hellraiser
labyrinth.
2.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the box for some reason.
Yeah. But like, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool looking. You know what I mean? But it like that neighbor and shit was like so cringe, and I'm just like, wow, this is actively bad.
That was so out of pocket. Like when she did that review.
And the funny thing is I'm usually more like forgiving on sort of what you would call like just general audience horror, right? Like just teenage horror, like, you know, stuff like that. I'm usually pretty like forgiving of it, but even I thought this was garbage.
Yeah, I was kind of like, and I was honestly like kind of questioning, like, am I just being a dick and being just harsh on this movie? But then like when like you didn't like it and everybody else was popping up, like literally giving it 1.5 that I follow, I was like, okay, maybe I'm right on the money.
You know what though? I was in there with a handful of teenagers, and they seem to enjoy it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, that's the audience for it, right? But
it just seemed like it had so many things that would pick up for a second and then just drop them and do something else, and just like nothing connects.
Yeah, like when you get the like Lin Shaye type character who came in and like tells the story, like, oh, I've dealt with this before. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and then they just like kind of drop that a little bit, and then like it's just like the most interesting aspects of it was like sort of like what it like the backstories that you could make out of it and like the lore, but they just completely fumbled the bag on that.
Yeah,
it just didn't feel like it was just an afterthought.
It had like every like cliche possible.
Yeah,
I just can't believe that 24 is starting out this bad. Like how many 24 films have you watched this year?
One.
I watched.
That's the only one.
Oh, that's the first one. Yeah, I've only watched 1, 2, and like, but I haven't heard of anything being good this year.
Yeah, I've watched 3, and none of them were good. I watched Night Swim, I watched this, and I watched ISS, and none of them were good.
Like, has Shudder actually released any like new films? Like, I know they released that.
ISS was the best of the 3. ISS is hands better than either of these, but I still thought it was like average at best.
I need to watch that Argento documentary that's on there, but I've seen too many new like 24 releases on Shudder. Even Shudder, I know like Netflix has nothing on there from this year. It's crazy.
Well, we definitely got some better stuff on the way. At least it seems better.
Yeah, there's a few movies I've heard a lot of really good things about from people who saw them at festivals last year. I'm really excited for.
But like it's like mid-March, 2.5 months into the year, and like people have like seen 1 and 2 films. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I've been actively like not messing. Like I've been like doing other.
Well, I usually like to keep up. Like if there's something that I want to watch, I'll check them out and stuff. But like I'm at this point, and I would have checked out some shit if it was interesting and stuff. But there's been nothing, like literally nothing. It's crazy.
There's a like nunsploitation looking movie called Immaculate that's coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's got that.
So maybe it's gonna start picking up. I think it's because I'm so hell bent and my mind's set on seeing Maxine.
Well, this is the thing. Like
it has Sydney Sweeney in it.
Yeah.
And then Ghostbusters Frozen Empire actually looks really solid. That comes
I really
out
liked the last Ghostbusters movie, man. It was fucking good, man. Yeah.
And then Late Night with the Devil is supposed to come out in 2 weeks.
I mean,
one looks really good.
That's one I'm really excited for. I've heard lots of good things about that movie.
But it's pretty crazy though, like, for 2.5 months in the year to have like nothing so far.
I've heard there's good movies out there. I just haven't watched them.
There's this movie Red Rooms that should be coming out soon too that I've heard like is really fucked up.
Yeah, I just haven't heard much buzz about
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey comes out this month too. And then you got Godzilla X Kong at the end of the month. And then in April you got the new Omen movie, which they did show a trailer for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, I didn't even catch the full trailer. I just caught the end of it.
So it's like another remake, right?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I didn't really look into it, but I was like, I mean, they obviously remade the movie basically shot for shot kind of thing. It's just totally pointless. But so, I mean, this movie, I didn't hear anything about it being connected to like the original franchise and stuff, but
and then I think Maxine got announced for July, was it, or June?
I think it's July. Yeah. which is an automatic. What? Hopefully, we get it in the cinema. Fuck.
You should. There's no way. Did you get Pearl and X?
Got X, but I didn't get Pearl. I was.
You're not getting Maxine. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, well, we didn't get. I have no fucking idea why we didn't get Pearl, man. It was fucking. Yeah. I was so livid, dude. Like
Pearl is more of like a mainstream, accessible movie than X was as well.
I think
which is
it seems
weird.
that's
like
what I said. That's exactly what I said. Yeah, that's what I said, man. It's like,
oh, I 100% like.
I definitely do too.
Yeah, I like them both, but
stop motion comes out in next week too. We were interested in that one.
Yeah, that one sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's just been like a really slow start to the year, and then it'll probably start picking up. Hopefully, these are good films. Like
we're still in the crappy months. Like if you think about last year, like the movies like you like that came out of this were movies that like were holdovers from last year that finally released, which really still could be the case.
I've honestly had this. Usually March is where it starts picking up. January, February are like dump months.
I've had some weird. Yeah, well, with the exception of last year, because the first film I watched last year was Megan, and I thought it was. Trash.
I thought that was a solid start to the year. Yeah, I thought that was a solid start to the year. Like, okay, this isn't gonna make my list.
I walked out of the theater rolling my fucking eyes. I was like, this is trash. But
I thought it was funny.
But like in past years, it seems like the early films that I watch in January always are in the runnings for my top 10. It's so random. Like it's happened quite a few times where one of the first films of the year I've watched has been like either in my top 10 or close or something like that. It's crazy.
I think we got
the last couple years
pool in February, so I guess that.
Yeah, like by this time last year, I'd watched quite a few. Like, but the theatricals were coming out. It seemed like every like week or two, right? So
yeah,
it's been very slow. Like fuck, like we got Imaginary in town, and I was gonna go see that.
I really only saw that because like I was like being away at work. There's literally a movie theater like next to the hotel that I could just walk to. So
I just try to make a point to see all the theatrical horror films that we get in town because like we end up missing some, right? Yeah. So if we get them. I want to go support it and go and do it and shit. So, but man, I've been hearing such bad things about it. It's crazy.
They're also doing they showed the trailer for The Strangers.
Yeah, they showed that online too.
It's interesting because it looks kind of like a remake of the first one, but at the same time, it could just be like how they start. It could be a prequel essentially. Because it almost seems like there was like a thing that came up that said like how the Strangers started.
Well, I thought that's what it was. I thought this one was a prequel.
No, I think it's people are saying it looks like a remake because it does look like a remake.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else because I know we went through this, but I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was a 2024 preview that we were kind of talking about that shit and stuff. So, you guys interested in that Halloween TV series?
No, not really.
What do you know?
I just like the headline creative.
I don't really watch
for the
TV.
franchise.
I don't really
watch
the latest like TV series.
I don't know, man. Some of this TV series I tried, like I tried to watch that Scream. I thought that was fucking terrible. There was a couple other ones, man. I don't know. They don't do it for me, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I'm not the hugest Halloween franchise person, so
I
really don't have.
Because they said it sounds like they're going to bring, like, to me, what it sounds like is it's going to be like just set in the start of the universe. And it sounds like they're going to bring characters in that haven't been there for a while. Something like maybe like Jamie. That's really the only one I care about. But yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm always down for more Halloween, more Friday, more Elm Street. I'll never get enough of them. They're my favorites. Even though I don't really like Halloween that much, I still like Michael Myers.
No, it's
as much as I clown like on the new franchise. Like I'd still just like be happy to go see more movies. I'm just not like pining for them,
Yeah.
Huh?
Like I go like as much as like I didn't like the new ones, like I'd still be like happy to go see more Halloween movies.
Dude, I don't care. Even if I don't like the movies, I'm always hyped for a new edition. Always. No, even if they've been shitty for the last like 5.
Yeah, and like
it doesn't matter.
I used to have this like elitist thing, like, no, you don't need to, like, you don't need any more. You're gonna ruin it. Like as if like there aren't a bunch of shitty movies in the franchise already. Like who gives a shit?
Because at the end of the day, watching a bad Halloween film is better to me than watching a bad film like Imaginary.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's at least like an
Wow.
element of like fun and like a throwback to it.
Yeah, because there's gonna be at least something I like about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna like some kills or something, or like
Yeah.
just seeing Michael Myers walking around on the big screen is enough for me.
So you'd
really.
rather watch Buster Rhymes get down with fucking Mike Myers than watch Imaginary? Like,
Yeah, I would.
I'd probably rather watch that too.
because
actually.
that is at least like there's at least like kills and stuff. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, honestly, I agree. Like, I'm not saying Imaginary might be a better movie than that, but like,
but you're literally picking the worst film for me because
Yeah,
like
I still might rather watch that though, because it's like that has a level of like absurdity.
Well, that
and,
was
like,
calculated. That was done on purpose. That's
Yeah.
why I picked fucking Resurrection.
It has
Because,
like
like-
a level
Because
of
I
absurdity and
actually
stupidity
really,
that's,
really
like, fun,
dislike
at
that
least.
movie. Like Resurrection's terrible.
I've only seen it one time
yeah.
when we did it on the show. I've never watched it.
I haven't
again
seen
or
it in a
before.
long
Are you
time.
serious? You've only ever watched that one time?
One
Crazy.
time.
Fuck, that's been.
I haven't seen it like since I was a kid, and I didn't think it was the worst thing then. But that's like, like when you have like the kid, like no filter
Yeah.
for quality type deal.
Well, my thing is like
Yeah.
even the Halloween films I don't like actively like care for that much. I don't mind watching them. Like if
Yeah.
it's on or something, like I'm
I
fine
do.
with watching it.
I do. Like I
I
really
never,
do
like-
mind. Like
I watched the first one kind of like frequently enough, but like as like every Halloween, I kind of just slowly move through the franchise. Okay, well this year I'll watch like 4 and 5 or something, and I kind
That's
of
what
like
I
don't.
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
ugh,
I kind of don't mind it.
I do part 3. Like actually, I rewatched part 4. I think it was not last Halloween, but the Halloween before. Maybe it was like 3 years ago. I don't know. And it just reminded me of like how fucking boring that movie is, man. It's so
I don't
boring
mind.
to me.
I don't mind it.
It's so fucking boring, and everyone,
Which one?
obviously the mask, and it was cliche,
4.
but like the mask, it's terrible looking. But the movie's
Yeah, but the
boring to me.
masks are bad in almost all the Halloweens. Like the only Halloweens where they're good is Halloween 1, 2, 6, and the Rob Zombie films.
I
But part 4 is like exceptionally bad though. Like it
I
really
thought part
sticks out.
5 was worse, honestly.
I think
I thought-
no, the worst one is H2O probably, honestly.
I haven't seen that. In a
I
long
would have to
time.
see him up close. I can't like distinctly.
The problem with H2O
Think of
is
what
it
they
has
look like.
really big eye holes. So
Yeah.
you like
Oh, you're
see
talking just the
skin.
mask. Oh,
But I
okay.
just think 4 is like really like it's extremely overrated to me, man. Like if I was
Yeah,
to
but it's
put these
better
things-
than that shoulder pad Michael Myers.
And it's
or
just-
is that the shoulder pad?
and
Michael
it's just
Myers?
based
I
on the
can't
fact that
remember.
like
I think
people
5 is the
hold-
shoulder pad.
people
Yeah,
hold
that's
part
the
4
worst.
like on a high pedestal. Like they're always
Oh, I
talking about like,
know.
how great it is and stuff. And I'm just like, and that's why I say it's overrated because it does get mentioned a lot. Like I actually
Yeah.
saw someone post, just a little while ago, but like, oh, Halloween 4 is my favorite in the whole franchise. And like someone
That-
commented,
that's
like you
crazy.
like you like it more than the first one. He's like, yeah, it's my favorite movie. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but like,
I think a lot of people saw it at the age that Jamie is in the film, and they
Yeah,
connect
I
with
did.
it. I think
did.
that's a big part of why
I mean,
people like 4.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's just I just find it fucking
I
tedious
think-
to get through. I find it super, super boring. And I don't say that a lot about any movies, like especially slasher films, because I'm usually engaged in slashers because I love slasher movies. But like for some odd reason, that one just fucking it's so utterly boring to me. And like even the fucking like Donald Pleasant, the fucking his scar on his face and shit just looks horrible. And I think it's also due to like, the Blu-ray, they look really good. Like you notice shit like that even more. Like it just pops
Yeah,
out on the screen. You're like,
4K.
oh my God, it looks really
Oof.
bad.
The thing about 4 to me though is like it does kind of have like a good payoff, like where they're in the house and like the sheriff's like the sheriff's daughter like gets it with the gun, and like when Michael Myers gets into the house, I think that's pretty good. And then just like the firing squad of Michael Myers, I think is kind of awesome.
I actually there's a lot of parts in part 4 I like. I
Yeah,
like
the
the opening. I
the
like
best-
the gas station scene with Michael and the bandages.
I think the best masks in the whole franchise are in part 3.
I really don't like
Part 2
5
has
as
the
a
best
movie though.
mask.
I don't like number 5 like at all.
Part 2 has like the funniest fucking kill ever in it though too. Like when that dude gets hit by the ambulance. Oh my God. Dude, that shit's funny as hell. Or by the
guy
car and
gets
into
laid
the
out.
ambulance and explodes. Oh my God, that shit always kills me.
Yeah, that guy gets fucking fucked.
Yeah.
But
it's
like
it's up there with like the prophecy kill from last week, man. When the bear swats that kid in the sleeping bag and it just explodes on the rock.
Launches him.
but that's the difference
There's
between
fucking
like,
feathers everywhere. So,
Elm-
like,
that's the difference between Elm Street and like Friday versus Halloween is like there's literally not a film in either Elm Street or Friday franchise that I find boring at all.
No.
Even the remake of Elm Street, I don't find boring.
No. I don't find the remake boring. I just don't find it good. Like it's totally different. Like boring is an adjective I generally never use, and we've talked about this. Like I don't like to use that word because I'm never generally bored watching like horror film, like these type of movies. But I just don't find that movie that great. But like how much like Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is my favorite franchise, and I really, really dislike Freddy's Dead. Like I hate that movie. I can't. I think
it's fun. It's not the best for sure. It's like kind of sad where the franchise ended up, but there's things I like about that movie. Carlos's death has always got under my skin. I like the idea of like this sort of like weird.
Oh yeah, that's like, that's irritating to the point where you're like, God, like you literally cringe while you're watching that death, man. It's like, ugh.
But like for me, like even like the Elm Street remake, like I don't think it's a good movie, and I think it's an even worse remake. But there are things in it that I like that I think were smart and cool. So like there are aspects that I don't think that movie's as bad as like the worst of the worst, but it's just not even good.
Even in terms of filmmaking, like I still like I don't think like the what's his name, the guy that plays Freddy.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah, I don't think his performance is that good, but like there's certain elements of that film that are so laughable. Like the one thing that I remember walking out of the cinema and being like, me and Dylan saw that shit when it came out, and I was like, they did the fucking wall effect better in the original film. Like I was appalled at
not only better, but like way better, like way better, so much.
It was
better.
The one thing I could not get over. Like, I was like,
that's always been one of my biggest problems with that movie. Is that particular?
It always stuck with me about how bad they did that effect. Yeah, it's so bad, and I'm like, okay, this movie should be able to do something, on the level.
Like, if you're gonna remake a scene, it better be as good, if not better. Like, I thought the Tina death was actually pretty decent. Like,
there's certain things thinking that was cool. I was honestly at that point.
There's certain things about them I honestly can't remember now because I watched it in the cinema and then I watched it a few years later after the dust settled and I thought I'd gotten over it, because rewatches are a must, right? Shout out to Dave.
I agree.
And like sometimes your mind changes drastically. Like, I mean, there's been so many movies over the years where I've watched and I liked them and then I rewatched and I didn't like them, and it's been vice versa.
I've probably seen it about 5 times.
But I hated it even more the second time, man. I was like, oh my God, I fucking was livid watching this thing. I don't know what it is. And it's probably because I'm such a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. So I just wanted it to, like, I didn't want the movie to fail. Like someone told me one time, I think left a comment on one of my videos. They're like, yeah, you just wanted the movie to be bad. I'm like, no. I've said this multiple times over the years that I never wanted that movie to be bad. It's just like Dawn of the fucking Dead. You motherfuckers. I fucking hate when people fucking do this to me. I told people, I said, I was looking forward to the Dawn of the Dead remake and I loved it upon release. And over the years, I just gradually just kind of dislike it more. I don't dislike the movie. It's not as high as I still
think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's like great,
no, it just kind of went down for me like over the years. I don't actually think it is. Like I like the angle that you took in it, but the problem with Dawn of the Dead, the problem is with the remake of Dawn of the Dead is for me is the characters. There's so many unlikable characters in the film.
Yeah, but the funny thing is about that movie is the guy who's supposed to be portrayed as the dick is actually like the smartest character in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that fact. I'm just saying like characters are a big thing for me, and I know for some people it doesn't really matter, but for something like that,
I like where
it's almost like a character study of these people. Like you're watching these characters the entire movie, make these decisions. You're with these characters and stuff, and if they're not likable, it's so hard to get into it. And that's a great example for a film that I realized over time. I'm like, man, these characters are so despicable and so unlikable that it just kind of went down and down and down. I don't think the movie's poorly made or nothing. Like, I mean, a lot of people had a problem with the fast moving zombies, but honestly, man,
I like that.
I didn't care because if you're going to remake a movie, you do your own thing. Right.
I like fast moving zombies, but I prefer slow moving zombies. But I'm glad there's.
I think it's scarier.
Both exist.
I honestly think the slow moving,
like the opening to 28 Weeks Later, is insane. Like one of the best openings in a film.
Yeah,
and it's because they're like fast moving zombies. But also the opening of Dawn of the Dead is actually pretty incredible too. That's like probably the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
but that going back to the Elm Street remake. There's 3 things in the movie that I like. and I've always had the same three things. So I love the idea of the micronaps because that's like actual reality. And it was kind of cool to like, if your body's been up so long, it like literally just shuts off for a few seconds at a time, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool concept for the Elm Street films. I like that you don't know if Freddy was innocent at first. That is a really cool concept to do because it makes you question everything for a second. And you're like, oh, whoa, this is kind of interesting. And then,
well, it villainizes the parents, right? Because like if you're considering him to be innocent,
I mean,
like, they did some atrocities then, right? It's kind of it is an interesting concept for sure.
I mean, the parents are villainized in the original in all the films, really, because
well, I mean, technically, just getting revenge on somebody is pretty evil. Like you're not really supposed to do that, right? Like it's not.
It's not only that; it's just because they like the way they treat the children and don't listen to them. You know what I mean? So they're kind of villainized.
Well, it's because they have it's because they have a secret, right? And they're afraid to share that shit. So that's how they treat their children. Like, oh, it's not real. It's not real, but they know it is, and that's the character traits, right? Because they got a secret. So I mean that makes sense.
But the things I hate about the movie are I actually actively dislike Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. I do not like the performance at all. I know some people say that that's like. He was pretty good, but I actually think he wasn't good at all.
I think it's like not Jack or Haley's fault, but I think the portrayal of Freddy and the direction they went is just not good at all.
Well, it to me, it always felt like Jackie Earle Haley playing Robert Englund playing Freddy.
Yeah, I never felt like he was trying to be Freddy, but I just did not like the direction they went.
I feel like it was Jack. I feel like he was playing Christian Bale playing fucking Batman.
I just don't like how
I don't know what it was. I kept thinking fucking Batman the entire time he's doing Freddy's voice. I'm like, I was just like,
he just sounds very.
I shouldn't be laughing at this. I shouldn't be laughing at this.
The original Freddy feels very menacing and like in control. Jackie Earle Haley feels very like off kilter and whiny.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think a lot of people like. You know, it's interesting you bring that up, like. With Robert Englund's performance as Freddy, like, you know, it's a brand new character and it's so fucking dark. It's so menacing. It's just so surreal at times, but no one ever really talks about like, you know, when you talk about like some of the best actual horror performances, like characters wise and monster villains, stuff like that in horror films, that performance, that portrayal in the original Nightmare on Elm Street film doesn't really get brought up as one of like the best acting performances and menacing performances a lot, does it? Cause I've seen people talk about like, you know,
not really. And I think a lot of it has to do with what Freddy became later.
Of course, but again, that's the product of people not being able to separate themselves from what happens later and shit. Like you're focusing on this performance, not Freddy's dead, right? Like you know,
but I think his best performance is probably in part 2. Honestly, that's where he's the most menacing in the entire series.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I can see that.
He's dark in part 2.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that movie is brutal.
The best.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Tyler?
I think I like him part 3 the best.
I mean, that's where
that's where he gets starts becoming MTV Freddy, which I like because it's not too far. One of my favorite scenes in that entire franchise is whenever Freddy, I think he's the snake at the time. He's the snake in part 3. And then he sees Nancy for the first time in all those years, and he's like, "You like?" It's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
I love that franchise.
Yeah, part 3 is like that is the start of the comedic elements, but like it has so many memorable moments. Like, welcome.
It's
to
my favorite one.
Bitch.
It's the best Freddy.
Like
film.
when he picks.
You guys ever see the music video for the Dream Warrior song?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love the dude. Like, the guy like kicks through the wall.
The opening of Elm Street. The opening of first of all. The opening of all 3 fucking Elm Street, the first 3 are amazing. Like the opening in the first one is awesome. The opening in the second one on the bus is fucking so cool.
Yeah.
And then the opening of part 3 with her making the house and shit out of the paper mache with the docking plan is awesome.
Yeah,
yeah, man. Oh man, I could watch those movies all day, man. You know, I mean, except for Randy's Dead drives me nuts, but. Anyways,
see, I'm more of a Freddy fan than you. I like them all, except for the remake.
Yeah,
I think
So I say the same thing to Dave Z about Friday the 13th. I like all the Friday the 13th, every one of them. There's not one that I don't like. Jason X is my least favorite, but I still like it.
I mean, honestly, when I watch Friday movies, like I really don't watch past part 7. Like part 8, like part 8 is still the funniest shit to me ever. Like just how they get there from Chris. Like, I just don't understand the geography of that film at all. It makes no fucking sense. But I've always, part 8 bugs me, man, because like that movie got, pardon the pun, slashed to death, by the censors and shit. I would love to see that film, like fucking the fully uncut version of that, like all the Friday films. But
I think
part 9,
it's fun.
Part 9 to me just feels like it's beyond jumping the shark. Like I get the whole idea, like you're trying to do something different, like the whole jumping from body to body and stuff like that. And the one thing I like about part 9, it's like overly violent. Like there's so
many good kills in that movie.
Yeah,
dude, when he assaults the diner, bro, he elbows the fucking bitch in the face and like he throws the dude on the grill. He breaks the dude's arm outside. Like it is just he stabs the one chick. It's shot really well. That movie is so fucking underrated. Like
I've only seen it
I
once.
cannot wait till one day we cover that movie because I'm gonna fucking like defend that.
It's gonna be like
so
you talking
hard,
about Eli Roth again, man. No one gets a fucking word in. Fucking fanboy, fucking disgustingness.
The reason I love like Friday 9 is so fucking cool, and nobody ever gives it credit for being cool because it's not like all the other ones.
No, I mean it's nothing. I just don't like the general idea of what they did with it. I think the kills and stuff
with Jason. But if you just saw a movie from the 80s where it was about a killer who could hot bodies, and you got all those cool kills and shit like that, and you would be like, man, this movie's wild. It's just because it's a Jason movie that it bugs people. And I get that. Of course. I get that.
I mean, there's no way around that, right? Because you're expecting one thing, you get another thing. But I mean, time is set. It's settled. I've seen the movie
even
multiple
the beginning of the
years.
movie,
It's
right?
still, it bugs.
The beginning of the movie, forever, I remember people always saying stuff like,
it was shocking to see that for the first time. You're
movies,
like, oh my God,
why don't they just fucking get a SWAT team and fucking, and so they did. And you don't expect that at all, bro. You're just, it's set up. It opens up like a regular Friday the 13th film. Some chick, broken light bulb, changing the light bulb. She's walking alone in her house. She gets in the shower. Then she gets chased by Jason. And then all of a sudden, all these lights come on and they fucking blast him, bro. Yeah. Fucking grenades and shit. Crazy, right? And then the rest of the movie, you don't have Jason. You're like, man, I really miss Jay, man. That's my dude. And he's not in this movie. And then, that thing goes down in the basement and they're like, I forget her name, but the one Voorhees woman's body's in there, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And then all of a sudden, boom, comes out, fucking just badass Jason, bro. Like, man, that shit was so fire when I first seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, different fucking strokes for different folks. Like, I mean, like I said,
I'll
the
admit,
cool.
I've only seen it once.
You take Jason away, and it makes everybody want him so bad that when he comes back in the end, it's so badass.
Yeah, and then they shipped him off to space.
Plus, Creighton Duke is fucking cool as shit. He's just like a badass dude. He could have been the Loomis of the future had they kept going that way.
Yeah, that was stupid that they kill him off, right?
Yeah.
So I mean. But then they I mean, I think they double jumped the shark, man, to be honest. And then they fucking take him to space. I'm like,
I
you don't think they jumped the shark in part fucking 6 when he gets lightning struck back to life? And then they jumped it again by bringing Carrie in part 7. No. And then they jumped it again by traveling down the fucking
part 7
non-existent lake
part 7
to
is
a
so
non-existent
gimmicky.
River to a non-existent New York City.
But
Vancouver.
part 7 is so I know like I said, in part 8 the boat, the geography makes no fucking sense. It literally makes no sense to me at all how they get from point A to point B. Like no one can figure that out. It's ridiculous.
They're just like depending on people are going to watch this and not like think about
that because it makes literally no sense. It's so funny. I always used to like with Andy because I know Andy Cripps, like his fucking favorite Friday film is part 8, and I'm like explain the geography to me, man. It makes no fucking sense. But I mean, we don't have to make sense of things, but it's something I thought about because it literally is a huge.
I'll say by the time we're where we are, in that franchise. Like, I think the non-existent lake going to the non-existent river is the least of like the issues with it.
But again, going back to part 6, like that's my favorite one of the franchise. For forever was part 4, but like I really like part 6. I think the portrayal of Jason in that, man, is just like, my CJ Graham is so awesome.
That sucks is there's no boobs.
Yeah,
there's no titties in that, and it sucks too because the blonde hair chick in that movie, she's pretty cute, and like she did like, but there's a really good camel toe shot in there. Yeah, that counts. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think his portrayal of Freddy is so menacing. Like, but I mean, I get it. People are like, oh, it's a little bit too goofy. But I think some kills are amazing. The soundtrack is fucking awesome for that movie. It's so good.
Yeah, part 6 is awesome. The end of part 9, bro. Freddy's glove coming up. One of the most best moments ever in horror history. Yeah. And it never gets talked about because it's in a movie people don't like. But that moment, it like, yeah, obviously now that you know you got Freddy versus Jason, it's not as effective, but nobody expected Freddy's fucking glove to pop up out of nowhere, like, and hear that laugh. You're like, what in the actual? Well, I remember that blew my fucking shitter out.
It's because the idea was to make that Freddy vs. Jason movie kind of thing, right? I think that was the general conception.
Yeah, that was the idea.
But it's too bad they never used that moment in leading into that Freddy vs. Jason movie. That movie always bugged me.
I mean, they kind of do.
The Freddy vs. Jason, yeah, I guess in a sense.
Jason's in hell now, and Freddy's in his head.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, like, Freddy vs. Jason
says, "Welcome to my nightmare," and then Freddy vs. Jason opens up with Freddy in Jason's nightmare. So it kind of does.
Yeah, but that movie just could have been so much better, man. It feels so cheap.
It really could have been. So
I didn't like the casting in the movie, and honestly, the narrative was a little bit wonky at times too. But like, I didn't really like the casting a lot in that film. Again, it's going back to that era of like, you know, the pretty cast. You know, like the fucking I Know He Did Last Summer cast and all that type of shit. Like those type of people, it just bugs me, man.
I don't know why.
That was another one that was filmed in Vancouver, actually.
But the thing with Freddy vs. Jason is like the biggest sin to that movie is not doing Kane Hodder as Jason, because even Ken Kersinger as Jason is not very good. Jason,
no, he's not.
But the real thing that movie is successful on, I think, is the tying them together. Like, it actually feels way more of an Elm Street film. But the whole idea that the town pretty much like disintegrated Freddy from everybody's memories is kind of cool, because how would you deal with something like that?
Yeah.
And I like how they handled that situation, where Freddy needs, you know, fear to have strength. And if nobody remembers him, how can they dream about him? How could they fear him? And then Jason shows up and kills people, and rumors start flying that, you know, because people know of the legend of Freddy kind of, but so now they're like, there's rumors, and it's giving Freddy a little bit of strength. I like that whole aspect. Mm-hmm. I just think that the movie just like kind of fails on like the kills a little bit. And
I loved this when it came out. Like, I thought this was the coolest fucking.
I thought it was.
I thought the concept was, but like, to be honest, like, it was just casting, and it was just. I think it was more or less a direction in the film. To be honest, like, it feels cheap.
Well,
to me.
Yeah, the biggest problem. This is the biggest problem right here. Ronnie Yu directed the film. Never seen any films.
I know. We brought that up before, but
it just blows my mind that even.
That just seems going back to, that you wouldn't watch the source material.
But going back to
seems
like the
like
lack of direction
move to me.
You know, it always felt like it lacked in direction, but it honestly really does, because this guy didn't know the origins of these characters, and like, you know, that really does fucking help and factor into when you're making a film based on these characters, right? Like, It made no fucking sense to me. And like, I always thought, and like at the time, I didn't know that fact. And I kept saying to myself, I'm like, man, this movie's direction is so bizarre, and it just feels off and it feels cheap and shit like that. And then you find this out and you're like, oh, fucking, I was right. This guy didn't have any direction.
Just like, I still just can't wrap my head around. I never knew that. I just can't wrap my head around.
It's really bizarre.
I made this movie and never watched any of them.
But especially the movies being so popular. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to me. It's like, I don't know.
That just seems like.
Well, I mean, he didn't write the film, thank God.
Right. Well, he wouldn't be able to write them.
Right. But like, the thing is like, I feel like you should have seen the films, right? At least the first ones.
Yeah.
Maybe he did see the first ones. I feel like it'd be kind of hard not to see the first ones, being a director. Just in general, you're probably a film fan. Right. But the thing about Freddy vs. Jason that like keeps me loving it too is just the fact that we got it. Like, we might never see something like that ever again. And it's impressive that it took 10 years to make and finally got it.
The whole shit with Friday right now, man. I doubt like we're even gonna see a regular Friday film again. So fucking messed up.
Apparently that Crystal Lake series is supposed to start filming soon.
Yeah, that's interesting. But who really knows, right?
Man, I want to watch Elm Streets and Fridays now.
I know. Every time I talk
Notice
about
how I don't want to watch Halloween's though.
No.
But another franchise I'll be tuning into here in a couple days, Leprechaun, because St. Patrick's Day, I always watch Leprechaun moves. Do you guys?
I usually don't. But I think I might indulge this year. Maybe I'll throw in part 3.
Here's what I do. Every St. Patrick's Day, I start where I left off and I just go in a loop. Except for I skip Origins a lot of times.
That's what I do with Friday the 13th.
I do that with Friday as well.
Right. Yeah, I think I do that sometimes.
I love the Leprechaun series when I was younger. I
love it now.
I have good memories of it. Oh, did you see
Postmaster
that picture I dropped in the group chat the other day? I was watching some random 90s movie.
Oh, and it had a Leprechaun 2 poster.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. I thought of you instantly.
Yeah, dude. Leprechaun 2 is awesome. The poster, the Leprechaun 3 is definitely the best one, but
that's my favorite.
I actually really enjoy part 2 now more than I ever did. And the In the Hood films, I enjoy those as well. 4 kind of still iffy on.
I still like the remake, actually. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite one.
I remember when I was real young, I'd always used to see that
the Astron 6 one.
I'd always used to see the Leprechaun movies in the Blockbuster, and I always wanted them, but I couldn't get an R rating past my mom because I was 7 years old. And I remember
it's so insane when people tell me that. I'm like, did parents actually check for ratings?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, they're not just going to walk.
I don't even think my mom knew what a rating was.
Well, the thing is, they're not going to let me walk around unsupervised in the Blockbuster. So they see it. And when I was a little kid, I would just run over the horror section because I thought the VHS covers were insane. I always wanted to rent Dead Alive, and it was literally never there, not once. But anyways. Yeah, anyways, I was probably 7 years old, and this movie was playing on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I watched this, and it scared the fucking shit out of me. And ever since then, I just love the Leprechaun series.
Yeah, dude, I used to go and rent those Leprechaun movies all the time when I was a kid.
Those were video favorites, man, for sure. I remember renting
when they came out on DVD.
At least the first 3.
Right away, my mom got me the set. Right when it came out, so I finally got to
Gore
see
collection.
Yeah, exactly. I still have it. I can't ever get rid of it. I still have it sitting up on a high shelf. Even though I upgraded it.
It took me a while to actually indulge in watching the 4th one because I don't know. I wasn't hugely into space shit back in those days, which is kind of weird because I love
that
space
one's
shit now.
Fucking bad.
If you watch it,
it's legitimate terrible.
In terms of this is supposed to be almost a parody of B movies, it kind of works a little better.
Yeah, it's
just so weird that.
But it's not even a Leprechaun movie. They even call him the monster or something, right?
But even if you have to put your mind into a different place to enjoy something, I just feel it's wrong. But I guess it makes sense a little bit.
I remember I just I liked watching 2, 3, and 4 over because there was tits in it, and at that age I didn't have many videos with tits in it, so I would just watch those over and over.
The funny thing is, I think in Leprechaun 2 and 3, both of the tits are nude body doubles.
Oh,
the one in part 2 definitely is.
Yeah, you can tell that for sure. That's body double.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking body doubles, man.
Dude, fucking man.
That's just an awesome scene.
The Leprechaun 3 is legitimately a good fun time, man. It's fun, just man. It has the best story out of all of them.
But it just makes perfect sense to put Leprechaun in Vegas, right? With the gold coins and shit. It's a perfect setup.
Yeah, Carolyn Williams is great in it. She's funny as hell. Fazio is one of the most annoying but funny characters ever.
That franchise is so bizarre. They had the best idea for part 3, and then they went from the best idea to the worst idea in part 4.
The weirdest thing about like part 2 and 3,
and it's the same director.
Like the main characters are like the worst actors in the movie. Like all the side characters are better actors.
Yeah, that's bad. Fuck.
Franchise.
You know, it's funny. I never really think about ever watching them, but like even around this time of the year, honestly, I always kind of skip on it. But
they're very heavily logged in my Letterboxd.
But didn't like Brian Tentersmith, like he directed part 4 also, right?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
So it like, yeah, and like we talked about that when we did the franchise, and it's like it's so bizarre that he did like the best and possibly the worst one back to back.
Yeah,
like it's so strange to me, like how that just happened, but it's pretty crazy. I like Brian Tentersmith; he's directed a lot of good movies.
Yeah,
Australian director.
Yep.
So, but yeah, how are you guys doing on 75?
2.
I didn't watch any this week, but I'm still at 8.
I'm at 2.
Yeah, I didn't watch any. I don't think I watched any this week really either. But I'm at 11. I think I just watched. I don't know what the last one I talked about. Maybe The Devil's Reign. That one's fun. Shatner, melty effects, satanic.
Wait, isn't that where the Michael Myers mask came from?
Pretty much. Yeah, probably. I always find it fun, man. It's just it's got a cool cast. Ernest Borgnine's in it. William Shatner. It's got Satan, melty effects. The whole like last like 20 minutes is awesome, dude. Like melty effects and shit is pretty cool. And then I rewatched Into the Damned. I hadn't seen that movie ever with a good transfer. Like that was one of those kind of like, kind of gray market releases that always had these shit transfers and stuff. It's like it's such a weird film because it's like it's an Australian like Western horror film set in like I don't know, like the 1800s, some shit like that. And it's just got like such a bizarre angle to it, man. It's long, but it's enjoyable. I think there's a little bit too much with the other part of the narrative.
Oh, you know what? I did watch one movie. It was literally last Sunday I watched it. I watched this movie, Criminally Insane, that I thought was really bad.
Oh yeah, Criminally Insane, yeah.
But it was like 63 minutes, like no budget. So it is what it is.
No, that movie's super, super low. But I think it's kind of like it's like the first one, and then they did like the Death Nurse films,
which I've heard are worse somehow.
Yeah. Oh, dude, those are like really bad shot on video films. Man, but it's kind of like it's the same chick, right? And it's like
yeah. That's what someone like commented on my Letterboxd review was like talking to me about them.
Yeah. I've seen them all. I actually have that Criminally Insane DVD, and then I watched the remake. Well, the Spiral Staircase, the 75 version, like the original's from 46. There was a remake in 1961, and then there was another remake in like 2000. So they've done this.
Yeah, I have the 46 version on Blu-ray. I never really thought that was a horror movie. Did they because the remake a little different?
I mean, it's the same premise. I mean, I feel like the original one is like the really good one.
I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I watched it a couple of years ago. I remember I picked that up on a Kino sale though.
Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with this version of it. Like it just, I don't know, kind of lacked the atmosphere and stuff. And it's decent for what it is. Maybe it's a little bit more focused on the source material. I have no idea. I can't really remember. I'd have to see the 46 one, but I know it's all based on a book, right? They came out in the 30s, I think, or something like that. So
yeah,
it's just one of those films that just keeps getting remade over time. It's ridiculous. Then I rewatched Psychic Killer. That movie's fun, man. I like the premise of Psychic Killer. It's pretty interesting.
I've watched some other than Criminally Insane. Everything I've watched has been good so far.
Yeah, no, so far, I mean, I haven't really everything's been enjoyable, so nothing I dislike. So
is Rocky Horror Picture Show a horror movie?
It's like horror movie in the same way, like I don't know, like something like Shaun of the Dead is a horror movie. Like it's not scary, but it has like lots of horror elements.
It has lots of blood and like carnage and shit like that. And
I haven't watched it in a long time, to be fair, but it's I
just don't want to watch it.
I think it's pretty good. Like it took me.
I think it's worth revisiting at least every like so often if you haven't, especially if you haven't seen.
I've always avoided it just because it just seemed like it wouldn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really for me, but like I'm definitely gonna rewatch it.
Like people love that movie.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's honestly like I remember watching it when I was really young and I didn't care for it at all because I was even back in those days I wasn't into like musicals and shit. So I was kind of the same way. It took me forever to kind of check it out because I was like, it's a fucking musical, fucking. And I think it's because like growing up, like my sister would watch Grease all the time, and its shit was just the worst stuff I've ever seen or heard in my life. Like it was. Like,
I've never watched
it was
Grease.
like
I like refused to
nails
watch
on
that
a
movie.
fucking chalkboard.
I've never seen it either.
So it ruined the idea of musicals for me because like I remember like I've seen West Side Story. Like I've seen musicals, but like that one right there, like just kind of ruined it for me. And like, oh, you should watch fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm like, I'm not doing this fucking musical shit, man. So I ended up watching. I was like, it's okay. But over time, I think it's one of those things that kind of grows on you a little bit. Again, you know, like I'm just still not hugely into musicals. Oddly enough, I watched a musical last week called Sons of Steel. It's an Australian film. It was fucking awesome, dude. Like the music and the music pieces were so well done in it. It was kind of like metal in a sense. It was like 80s metal. Oh man, it was fucking awesome, dude. Crazy storyline in it. It was awesome, man. I really liked it. I even wrote like really read a review, but I say greatest musical ever made. It's fucking awesome, man. That was an Umbrella release from Umbrella Entertainment. So
musicals are not really something I gravitate to, but like there are like a few musicals I'm like very, very high on. Like even a couple I call like straight masterpieces.
Like what?
Well, the one I think the best musical I've ever seen is All That Jazz. I would give that like a hard 10 out of 10. That movie's incredible. The Lars von Trier one is is kind of different. Dancer in the Dark, I'm very, very high on that one. And there's a pair of
what?
Oh no, I thought you were saying something. But
I thought you were cutting out there. I was like, where the fuck you go?
I thought JP was saying something, but Lars von Trier's Dance for the Dark's incredible. That one I'm like really, really high on. And then there's like a pair of French ones that are pretty exceptional.
Oh, God, sounds awful, dude. Sounds like pure torture.
Like watching foreign musicals because then you'd have to like read all the lyrics. I don't know, man.
Well, there's this one. It's got Catherine Deneuve was the star of both of them, like the girl from Repulsion.
Right.
Yeah, one of them is like they just literally sing every line of the movie, but it's like honestly like it's like a really like sad like heavy movie. And then the other one, the sets and like just choreography, it's made by the same guy, are just so out of this world. It's called the Young Girls of Rochefort.
You're picking shitty musicals. What about like The Lion King?
No, I'm not really into The Lion King.
Lion King's one of my favorites.
I watched that a lot when I was a kid. But
I saw it in the theater same year I saw Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
That's an interesting contrast.
I loved both. I like, in terms of musicals, like for me, stuff like South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
Oh, I love that one too. I didn't even think about that. That's great. That's getting re-released this year in theaters for its 25 year.
Well, even like Cannibal the Musical, right? Like
I love Cannibal the Musical
too. It's fun.
That's good.
And then like Poultrygeist.
Oh yeah,
it's a good one.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
And then like stuff like Willy Wonka and Wizard of Oz. That's like the only shit I can think of musicals. Yeah, Crybaby, John Waters' Crybaby, I love too.
I think I cap out around the same spots as you. I just have like those couple other ones I've seen.
It's so really weird. Popular. I never like thought of Willy Wonka as like a musical,
but
though. I know I never really thought of it like
that's because the best musicals are musicals without you realizing they're musicals.
That's how like ones. That's how All That Jazz is. Like if you're gonna try any of these out, All That Jazz is exactly like that, and that's why I like it so much. That like they don't just sing for no reason. Like,
dude,
like
Sons of Steel, man, like it's done so well, dude. Like this post-apocalypse, it's so bad shit. Like there's time travel in it, and fucking it's like, you know, like a rock opera. Man. It's so much fun, dude. I loved it, man. I would like that would be a great film to screen with a bunch of people and shit. It's fucking gnarly. It's pretty cool, man.
Have either of you guys seen Singing in the Rain?
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That's probably like my biggest blind spot with musicals. That one, I have that. I'm gonna watch that this year. That's on like.
Isn't that Best Picture winner?
It's a film I saw way back in the day. Didn't appreciate it, so I mean, I probably didn't like it.
Isn't the Oscars on soon?
Yeah, Oscars suck. I've seen like the person that would care about the Oscars.
I don't watch shit. Award shows. Don't exist to me unless I'm watching fucking
Moodz. You were talking about Netflix before the show. There's actually a really good Netflix movie out right now on Netflix. Have you ever seen the movie Alive 93.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the plane, you're
Yeah.
way in.
No, I haven't seen that.
The
That's
soccer
cool.
team that crashed. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie
rugby.
on it.
It was rugby.
Yeah,
Or
there's
rugby,
a movie
rugby team. Yeah.
that just came out about that, Society in the Snow.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. Dan really likes that too. He like
No, it was really
recommended
good.
to me.
It might be better than Alive. I think I still prefer Alive, but it's pretty damn.
So it's the same story.
It's like 2.5 hours.
It's the same story.
It's probably more accurate than Alive, honestly.
Yeah.
I heard it's really disturbing.
Well, yeah, dude. It's people eating people.
Well,
It's always going to be
essentially cannibalism, but I mean, it's different cannibalism. It's survival, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's still
I gotta watch
cannibalism.
that.
I guess, but it's not like, yeah,
It
I
still
know
makes me
cannibalism
feel
just
like
sounds so bad. Like, but
Cannibalism.
Well, the worst part about that cannibalism is they ate a lot of people they knew
Yeah.
and loved.
True
which is
that, man. True
horrifying.
that. Yeah.
That movie is like, dude, I cannot believe how that actual story like ended, like how they got saved.
I really
it
gotta
is
watch
fucking
this.
insane. Like I
really
still
gotta.
can't
Oh
believe it.
man, I gotta watch this Society.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't even remember the ending, but don't say anything because
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm going. I'm
actually.
gonna watch this like if I can, like this week.
Like I watched it live when it
they
came
show
out.
actual pictures of in the end credits. They show actual pictures because one of the cool things about that incident was that there was cameras because they had all their luggage and stuff, so they took a bunch of pictures of each other,
Right.
like stranded in the damn snow. So many people died in that shit too. It was brutal. But it's a good movie. Definitely check it out. It's on. I actually resubscribed to Netflix for it because, funny enough, Jeremy texted me about it like a month ago. He saw it in the theater and was like, "Hey, I think you'd really like this movie. It's right up your alley." And so it's funny. I texted him. I watched it, and then I texted him back, and I was like, "Dude, you should check out this movie." I sent him a screenshot. I was like, dude, you should check out this movie. It's like the movie Alive. And he's like, motherfucker, I told you about that a month ago.
Yeah, in typical Jeremy.
He doesn't
fashion.
never know he never knows when I'm trolling the fuck out of him.
Dude.
Yeah,
That's
Actually, Tyler
vintage.
usually doesn't either.
I know now when you are. That's why
You know
I was just
now?
like this. Yeah, I'm like you did used to like get. It took me a while to realize. I didn't like realize that you would just troll just to troll. It
Dude,
took
I'm
me
a
little
big
bit.
troll.
Yeah, it's because I do the same thing.
Oh,
like
man.
on like general Facebook groups for movies. Sometimes like I'm just like I'm gonna troll today, and
You
I'll
were
just say something that'll piss someone off, and I'll just like let them keep going.
Man,
I
you're,
used to do it to Dave all the time. He'd get really mad.
Oh, Dan got me last night though. Dan trolled me good last night. He got me. He just started saying like. He just started like talking shit about Magnolia, knowing I would show up, and he fucking
yeah,
got
man.
me.
That's what I was saying. I was like, you totally got trolled last night over the Magnolia thing.
Yeah, then it was like, hold on a second. I've talked to Dan about this movie. I know Dan is just trying to piss me off now.
I knew what he was doing right away, and I was like, yeah, I like Magnolia, but I'd rather watch Eyes Wide Shut, though.
He got me.
Oh, for the context of that, we were talking about Tom Cruise movies. It was just, it was kind of a bizarre conversation.
Yeah, but yeah, Dan got me. He started just like slandering Magnolia, knowing I'd show up like, hey!
Right. It's all it takes, man. Just mention something you like. I think you actually have that on your letterbox as like one of your favorite films, right? So that's
It's probably, it's like literally my second favorite movie.
What speaking of which, what do you guys have as the 4 films on your letterbox?
I don't even remember.
I have Blue Velvet, Magnolia, Old Boy, The Cremator.
The
So
Cremator.
all art house stuff.
I've got Dawn of the Dead, The Beyond, Return of the Living Dead, and Day of the Dead. So, wow.
Yeah, you guys are the same.
What do you mean we're the same?
You guys just have the it's like all the same type of movies.
Well, those are legitimately my favorite movies.
Right, but like what I did was I tried to pick 4 films that represent my taste in movies and like that I love.
I know some people that rotate them a lot. I might just start doing that.
Mine's been the same. Mine is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Goonies, Larry Clark's Kids, and Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, I mean, The Goonies is my favorite like non-horror film. So, I mean, I could technically put that in there. But
Yeah, I just figured I would do like the films that like represent my taste.
Yeah.
Best.
I would say, like, honestly, I think I'm a little even like further down on Old Boy now, where I think Old Boy, it's still like a top 10 for me, but I think there might be a couple more movies I like more than Old Boy. I think I definitely like the Cremator more than Old Boy now.
Old
so that
Boy's
could change.
overrated.
See, I agree, but I disagree. Like, I do think it's like a masterpiece, but I think people also
I don't
overblow it like to a tier that I think like I really will like call it that, but like in like probably in the 70-ish movies I would give that title. It's in the back half of it.
I like that whole trilogy, man.
I like the whole trilogy too.
It's not even my favorite I like the other two movies better, I think.
Yeah, Old Boy's not my favorite one either, to be honest.
I think the thing is like there's some movies that like maybe you didn't need to watch this movie 10 times and it doesn't have the same effect.
Every time I watch Old Boy, I like it a little less.
It just, I think that's the natural thing for a lot of movies. There's movies like I keep like a top 100 favorite list, like unranked, but like just like I cap it 100 favorite movies. And I started to notice like these movies are just, I've watched them like 6-7 times in like the last like almost that many years, or like, you know, like last like 8 years or something. And I like them less now just because I think I've worn them out.
Yeah, but sometimes you grow out of shit though, right? It's like
and like that's what like I say, like it's like okay, well it's like you've seen like thousands of more movies now. Like your taste should naturally evolve.
Yeah, mine do all the time. Like don't get me wrong, I love Old Boy. I think it's a great movie. I just don't think it's like masterpiece caliber like you and other people do.
Yeah, let's just feel like that. There's always going to be disagreements on movies like that, like for sure.
Well, there's always going to be movies where I'm right and you're wrong.
There's movies that like
there's no right and wrong when it comes to taste, man. You like what you like, man. It doesn't matter.
I have the right taste. Tyler has the wrong taste. Well, I don't understand how it's complicated.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
You're telling me it doesn't make sense to me?
No, it makes sense to you. It makes no fucking sense in the normal reality that we live in.
See, this is
God damn it, dude! Like if you had the right taste, so what you're saying essentially, and I know you're trolling.
I don't bite now,
buddy. It's my world, Holmes. You're just living in it.
I know. The world revolves around the Mexican for sure. But like, take this theory though. Like, you have the right taste, so then everybody would have to have the same taste. So we would all have the same likes of everything. That's just that's ludicrous to me.
But you don't. You have the wrong taste.
No, I mean if we had to like what you like. So if your what you liked was the standard and everyone else is wrong, so if we had to conform to what your taste is, then everyone would just like
shouldn't conform to my taste.
Hey dude, shut the fuck up. Stop fucking around.
Like it's okay to be wrong. That's the thing that you don't understand. Like you don't have to be right. It would be weird if everyone was right? Then nobody would be wrong.
I think,
but instead I'm right and everybody else is wrong, so it balances out.
Yeah. There's no such thing as best. It's fucking stupid. It's all favorites. Anyways, but like honestly, I never really thought of that with the Letterboxd. Like I just put my 4 favorite horror films. I never even thought about putting other genres on there. Like I literally just didn't think about it too hard. I was like, hey, well, that's what I generally watch, right? So that's how I'm going to represent my Letterboxd page. So
yeah, for me, The Goonies is just like The Goonies is a movie that I could watch 5 times straight in a row and love it each time. I'm like the same way. I'm like that with the Back to the Future films too. Like if I watch one, I watch all 3 back to back, and it's like I can never get sick of them. Like it's just some people always like shit on part 3, like that. Like I usually skip that one. Not me.
No, I
think it completes the trilogy. It fits nice. It feels.
I rewatched all of them again. Like I think last summer. Like in a row. I just marathoned them.
Dude, I remember they showed all 3 of them at my drive-in in a row. That was so awesome.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I'd love to see them in the drive-in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, all 3 back to back to back.
That's cool.
This conversation has inspired me. I'm going to change my top 4 Letterboxd movies to the last 4 movies I gave 5 stars, and I'm just going to rotate like that.
Do you like The Goonies? I
like The Goonies.
You actually gave 4 movies 5 stars? Because I hardly fucking believe that. You're like
the
king of like 2-star movies all the fucking time.
How many movies have I given 5 stars this year? I think just 1.
What's the last 5-star movie I've had? I wonder.
Oh, my last.
Not even 2 this year.
I literally just gave fucking Sons of Steel fucking 10 out of 10. That movie was amazing.
I would count rewatches too, like just for this. I just rewatched the movie that I'm just putting to 5 stars now, actually.
Or 5 stars, whatever you want to do, stars rating, whatever it is. But like, yeah, Sons of Steel, that movie, like, I don't know, man. I was holy shit. It just blew my shitter out, man, because I was not. I didn't even know it was a fucking musical when I popped it in. All I knew it was like a post-apocalyptic kind of like time travel, like Australian, you know me with exploitation, man. I love that shit. And then the movie opens up with this band, like the lead character in the film is like the lead singer of this band, right? And he's singing the music, and I'm like, oh, fucking awesome. And it's like pretty cool and catchy and shit. And it's actually like a cover song that they're doing in this, and then it just like, and then the movie starts playing, and then there's like a musical note. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a fucking musical? So it caught me off guard, but I loved it though, man. It was great. So
the last 5 stars I've given was A Wonderful Life, Beetlejuice Zombie, It Chapter 1, and Holes.
Yeah, I would have to go back.
I don't do a lot of 5 stars. I haven't given any this year yet.
I rewatched Demons last week also, so that was a 5-star. So I would have been Demons. Sons of
Some of my 5 stars are not actually 5 stars. Sometimes I accidentally misclick a rating, so I have to change those.
Yeah, you're trolling people, man. Oh, My Bloody Valentine. That's another one that's on here. It's mostly probably old school films with like rewatch. Like every once in a while, I'll just like rewatch films.
There's a lot of misratings on.
Oh, and The Running Man. That would be the other one.
What are the last 5 I did?
The Running Man's my favorite Arnie movie.
Right, I gotta go back in time.
Dude, I have not given a lot of 5 stars, bro.
Oh, and then I rewatched A Toxic Avenger and Running Man like back-to-back days, and those are both 5 stars for me. That's hilarious. It totally is. It's like older movies that I just end up rewatching.
Wow, this is crazy.
I gave Neon Genesis, Evangelion, the end of Evangelion 5 stars.
Beverly Hills Cop I rewatched recently too. That's interesting. Dawn of the Dead I rewatched. Of course, that's my favorite movie of all time. Fuck, it's like totally just old school favorites.
So this was the only one from this year so far. I gotta go far back. Man, I rewatched Possession in December. I gave that 5 stars.
All right.
I'm gonna have to go too far back.
So we're doing Irish horror.
Yes.
So quick little Google search. Dread Central did I don't know if this is actually up to this is from March 15, 2023.
Oh, that's pretty
They did an article that said the 15 best Irish movies to watch this March. So I mean that applies to this year, I guess.
Cool.
They're not actually ranked, so I'll just start with the titles. Okay, so the first one listed here is Dead Meat from 2004, which I really need to rewatch.
Fangoria.
Yeah, that's the Fangoria one.
I've never seen that movie, but I hear it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I remember actually liking it. The next one listed is Grabbers from 2012. We'll be talking about that one sooner than later. Stitches from 2012.
Great movie.
The Hollow from 2015. Good film. Without Name from 2016.
Never heard of it.
I don't know if I've seen this one or not. It doesn't ring a bell right away. Okay. The Cured from 2017. I watched that one.
Never heard of it.
I watched that one. I can't remember if I liked it or not.
Maybe I did see that one.
Yeah, I can't remember if I liked it or not, but I remember. So this one's trippy, man. I can't remember if I've seen this or not. It doesn't. Just reading the snot or the kind of. So The Devil's Doorway from 2018. It says The Devil's Doorway is a found footage horror set in the 1960s. And right away I was thinking to myself going, who the fuck in the 1960s had like a personalized motion picture camera?
Yeah, you technically don't know if it's personalized. It could have been like a news crew or something.
I guess so. True. The real horrifics for yeah, it doesn't really say anything on those lines. So that really just tripped me out. I was like, oh shit, from 1960s, creepy.
Yeah, it would probably have to be a news crew. I don't know how else you would do that.
Right? Because like nobody would have owned a personalized camera.
Well, it would be on film. It would be like a Super 8 or something.
Of course. Yeah, it would have to be. But like how many people in the 60s had a personalized fucking motion picture camera? Not too many.
So making a documentary?
60s,
yeah, like that'd be pretty rare. The Hole in the Ground from 2019. I am not sure if I saw this one or not.
I feel like I saw that one.
Yeah, I saw this one. I didn't like it.
Oh yeah, no, that one was kind of fun, I think.
This movie wasn't fun if the same movie. This was like kind of like an atmosphere.
I mean, I guess I could check my Letterboxd.
Something else.
I could check.
It was like a creepy kid movie.
No, I might not have seen that then.
Director Evil Dead, from the director of the upcoming Evil Dead Rise. So it's the same person that did that. Irish Folklore of Changeling. Child. Yeah, I don't know, man, if I've seen it. I'd check my letterbox because it'd be logged.
I'm checking it now because I know I watched this that year. Lee Cronin was the director. Yeah, I saw this movie. I didn't like it.
Boys from County Hell. I don't think I've seen that.
I
one.
saw that
Yeah,
one. That was the one I was
You
thinking
gave
of.
this 5 out of 10. You didn't like it either.
Was this one on
This was
Shudder?
on Shudder. Yeah, this
Yeah,
was
okay.
on Shudder.
Yeah, I think I passed on this one.
No, you watched it. You gave it 5 out of 10.
Oh, I did watch it. Oh,
No,
okay.
he moved on to the next movie, Tyler.
Oh,
Pay
the next
attention.
one. I thought you were talking about A Hole in the Ground still.
Oh, so I did watch it. Okay, so I obviously didn't care for it enough to remember that I gave it 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Boys from County Hell. I'm pretty sure I passed on this one. I think
that was like a comedy.
Yeah,
I didn't watch this.
yeah, okay. Bring Out the Fear from 2021. I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I never heard of
that
this.
Oh, that's a weird one. Okay. You Are Not My Mother from 2021. I'm pretty sure I watched this.
That
I didn't watch
sounds
this,
really
but
familiar.
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking sure I watched that. Let the Wrong One In from 2021. That's got to be a comedy. Yeah, another Irish vampire comedy. Let the Wrong One In. That's funny. And then we got Changeling from 2021.
I don't remember
think
that
I've
at
seen that
all.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either. It's crazy. And then Mandrake from 2022. I watched that. I don't think I liked. I don't think I liked that one that much, Mandrake. I think some people did, but yeah. Next is Lamb from 2022.
I actually really liked Lamb.
Lamb was okay. It's just
It's not really like a horror film, but I thought it was like really good.
yeah, it's like all metaphorical and stuff, right? Like it's that type of movie where it's
It was just
kinda like-
it was like so weird that I was like, man, this is
yeah, I think it's like all symbolic
odd.
and metaphorical and stuff. It's like everything in the film has like a different kind of meaning. They're doing one thing, but it's all meaning a different thing. It's very like art housey and I think I remember thinking it was decent anyways, but yeah, that's what they got listed here for. Pretty interesting. There's a bunch of films in there that aren't actually here. Let's see. Do one more here. So this is from Fangoria. This was done 2022. 9 films at the forefront of the Irish horror invasion. Number 1 is The Devil's Doorway. So that one comes up again. The Hole in the Ground. Boys from County Hell. Fuck, it's all the same films. You're Not My Mother. What the fuck? Bring Out the Fear. Changeling. It's literally the same movies.
These are probably these are probably just all the Irish movies.
Mandrake.
I don't know why they didn't. Why not have
The Cellar. The Cellar was Irish, really? With Alicia Cuthbert.
no canal or no
Yeah,
Wow.
isolation, or that's kind of lame.
Or Byzantium.
well, there's a bloody disgusting article.
What about Let Us Pray?
Yeah, see, that was the one I was actually going to pick. I forgot the title. I couldn't remember it, but 10 Irish horror movies that stream for St. Patrick's Day. Or that stream. Okay, so we got grabbers here. Caveat. Oh, Caveat.
Caveat was kind of messy,
Yeah.
but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, The Hollow, it's a good film. The Canal, here we go. Isolation. Okay, so now we're getting to good ones. A Dark Song, which I remember thinking was decent.
We almost picked that one for this,
Yeah.
but we couldn't remember if it was Irish enough.
Yeah, The Hole
It
in
was
the Ground.
Irish. It was like an Irish UK production, so we just like played it safe.
Yeah, High Spirits, which, is probably the oldest film. Let Us Praise on this one also. There you go. You're Not My Mother. Okay. Yeah, so
Actually, that was the original one I picked, High Spirits.
That's-
Blu-ray.
it's such a weird thing, man. Like the Irish didn't really make a lot of like horror movies until the modern times. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Irish horror stuff.
There isn't, man.
Even now, there still isn't that much. Like
No,
we could do like maybe another volume of this.
well, we never did Stitches, but I think we're going to do that on the clown episode, right?
Yeah, you got to save Stitches for a clown.
But there is like we could do Let Us Pray, A Dark Song. Like there is some decent.
Yeah, we could
never,
just widen the definition to like, okay, like we'll just
you could do Rawhead Rex, I think, is one, and like High Spirits.
yeah,
You want
well,
some
Rawhead
older
Rex is
stuff.
actually set in like Ireland, so
Yeah,
I
but
think
yeah, it is interesting like how the Irish never really started making horror films until more recent. It's pretty interesting, actually.
I remember the first one I seen was probably Shrooms.
Oh yeah, Shrooms. I forgot about that. I like that movie. That's cool. Yeah, that was a trippy one, man. Like quite literally trippy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, basically we need more Irish horror films as well.
yeah, there's not a ton. It's really bizarre. But I mean, it's like, it's kind of like, you go through the backlog of like exploitation films and stuff. Like they were making films like maybe one a year for so many years and stuff, right? So
yeah, there's a lot more Aussie films like we can
now there is. Yeah, there's tons. But
I mean, even in the 80s and 90s, there's a good bit.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, on that note, we got anything else for the intro?
I don't think so.
No, that's everything. All right. So anyways, that's going to conclude the intro, and we're going to get into these Irish films here after we take a break.
Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. I tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 256, Irish Horror Volume 2. We're going to take it back to 2012 with a film called Grabbers. Was this a first time watch for you, Tyler?
It was. All these were actually.
All of them? JP, you'd seen this before, right?
I hadn't seen The Lodgers before.
So this was a rewatch for you. Okay. Yeah, I've seen all these movies before. All right, so Grabbers from 2012. Synopsis. When an island off the coast of Ireland is invaded by blood-sucking aliens, the heroes discover that getting drunk is the only way to survive. Blood-sucking aliens. I guess so, right? They kind of look like the Grabbers kind of look like octopuses in a sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, like squid-like creatures.
They do look like squids. Kind of cool. All right, so thoughts on Grabbers. Tyler, first time watch. Start with you. What do you think of Grabbers?
I thought it was pretty solid. I kind of felt like it was like the Irish like response to like Shaun of the Dead, where kind of you just had like this ragtag group of heroes that barricade in this place. It just got, I like how it just like relentlessly like hit on like all these like Irish stereotypes. The whole just like getting drunk to avoid getting eaten because it makes toxins to the monster is like hilarious. And then like just the fact that they have like the town drunk that's just like impervious to it. It's just the hard ass was a lot of fun. I thought like the cast was like all pretty good together. I've seen like a couple of these people in other Irish movies, and I love that like kind of like brand of humor where everyone is just busting each other's balls like 100% of the time, and they have like this like really goofy like level of swearing and like Irish slang. But yeah,
and they have like a lot of the area Irish stereotypes. Like one of my favorite scenes is like when they're trying to get everybody in the church to come like into safety without telling them why, and they're like listing off this stuff, and then they're like, and we have a free bar, and they're like, an open bar.
Yeah. The most enticing thing, right? Yeah. Like I honestly, man, this movie is fun as hell, dude. Like, I thought originally going into this one when I saw it years ago, it was going to be like super, super over the top goofy and shit. I don't really think it's actually that goofy. I think, I
think it's pretty goofy, but I don't think it like, it's not like a movie that just like the whole movie is like we're being goofy. You know what I mean? Like there's still like some good like scenes and like good action, just like.
Well, man. I think it's one thing that really does it for me in this film is the actual effects. Like, so the Grabbers there is some practical Grabbers in the film, but like the CG used on the Grabbers is really fucking good. Like they look really damn good to me.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the CG in this movie at all.
For like a lower budget film to do those effects like that well, I think it's really done like at a high level. Like it was actually quite shocking to me like how good it looked. So, a lot of these type of films, CG monsters and shit, you're thinking like sci-fi level type shit and stuff. I was expecting it to be garbage, but yeah, surprisingly really good. But I think the narrative is super clever and it's funny at the same time, right? Like I like that type of shit. Like they discover that, the only way they're going to survive is that their blood is toxic to these bloodsuckers because of the alcohol, right? So what do they got to do? They got to get shit-faced. I think that's a really cool and clever idea, man. I think it's really cool. But like, and I like the idea of like how they can survive on land through the rain and stuff. And you know, like in the UK, it fucking rains a lot, so they're in trouble. Right. Essentially, right? Because it's piss and rain there all the time. I like that premise too. I think that's
dude, the funniest scene in the movie to me is like the one cop who's like super drunk and he goes outside and then the thing like smells him and is like gross, but then it swats him into the air, bro.
Oh, dude, so funny.
Flying so far. He's like,
the grabber literally goes like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, it like flicks him like a booger.
I think this movie's really like, it's got some really clever moments in it too. Like my favorite scene in the film is this film or this scene that's just full of commentary. It's a commentary on how ridiculous it is that the UK, you know, police forces don't allow them to like carry weapons, right? Like real guns and shit. Like there's only a couple elements of like law enforcement. I think like their type of CIA or whatever, their FBI, whatever it's called there, they carry guns. And I think there's certain detectives and shit, but like the police force in this, known as Garda, you know, in Ireland, they don't carry guns. So there's this clever ass scene where they all got together and stuff like, hey, what kind of weapons do you got? Well, the town drunk shows up with a pellet gun with no fucking pellets. Another guy she shows up with a fucking flare gun. And the bartender, he shows up with like a super soaker. And it's totally a commentary on like how ridiculous is that like police force, you know, they're here to, you know, enforce laws and stuff, but they're not really trusted enough to have like real guns and shit. I think that scene is just clever as hell, man. It's funny as fucking hell, man. And yeah, I think it's awesome, man. Good stuff. So
yeah, and like I like just how it almost has like a level of like almost not quite there, but sort of like New Zealand humor. Like, you know how we get the like New Zealand horror comedies?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that slightly. Maybe it has to do with like the small like villagey type setting.
Yeah, it's more
like,
intimate comedy, right? It's like they don't focus a lot on. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of like physical comedy in this. You know, like people like
besides that guy getting flicked.
Yeah, well, yeah, that I meant, like exactly. But like, you know, Shaun of the Dead, I feel like is way more goofier than this. Like, there's a lot of like kind of like physical.
I like this
stuff.
movie more than Shaun of the Dead, honestly.
I just think it's really fun and it's well done. Like to me, it's like a shocking film. Like, you know, going into this, it's gonna be low budget, but like I would never expected the effects were gonna be what they were. You know, as clever as it was and stuff like that. And it, you know, it runs a good length. It never overstays its welcome. I think it does a lot of really good things, and the acting is really good. You know what's crazy, man? The lead female in this, what's her name? Ruth Bradley. I dated a girl that looks identical to her back when I was going to music school. Like, so every time I watch Grabbers, it kind of brings me back to like when I was in music school back in like 2000, 2001 too. And like, it's just crazy. Like she's uncanny to her. It fucking trips me out. I just thought I'd mention that. It's kind of not fully irrelevant to this, but in a sense, but yeah, I dated this girl that looks just like her. It's fucking weird. Anyways. But yeah, no, she's really good in the film. And like, I just like how like, it doesn't get overly like goofy with the comedy, right? I think there's still like, you know, decently scary moments in the film, you know, with the monsters and shit like that. I mean, to be honest, like if you're battling this massive fucking alien squid or whatever you want to call it, I mean, that shit's scary. So I think one of the cool scenes actually is when they go into the cave where the tide's coming in, and then they're all of a sudden like, holy shit. And this thing's like fucking massive and shit. I love that, man. I like the idea of like how it, you know, it basically lays eggs, which is an interesting thing. So, and I thought the eggs look really cool and stuff in this too. So,
yeah, I like the scene where they're doing like the little autopsy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love movies that do that, like where there's some kind of creature and they start investigating it. Like I think of stuff like a Return of the Living Dead where they get the half zombie on the table and like kind of ask it questions. Stuff like Tremors and shit, which, you know, obviously this is sort of like Tremors.
Right. I think that scene is actually really clever too. Like they didn't overly get goofy with it, but you know, in the scene where they're like, oh fuck, we got to burn this fucking grabber. But you know right away that like what happens when you start a fire inside a place like that? It sets off the sprinklers, right? And what happens with the sprinklers is it comes back alive. Like, but they're not really like they have this idea they got to get rid of the shit. Like they play it off pretty well. Like it doesn't.
It's
get
kind of like
goofy.
the Faculty in the sense of like the creature and like the water thing.
Yeah,
because like the Faculty was all about water too.
Right.
But I like the town drunk who's like wants to name them, which is also like sort of a callback to Tremors too, because Walter Chan from the first film, like he wanted to call them graboids. He's like, we need to name them.
Yeah.
And then the name like stuck.
I bet you they kind of bit that a little bit. I bet you that's where they get that from.
Maybe.
Like, it seems very Tremors. It does. Yeah. Now, the more that I think about it, totally it does.
Tremors also kind of fits this kind of like setup of like these like ragtag group of like unlikely people that get together that have to band against this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I love movies where like the town has to like band together to like defeat some kind of like creature or something like that. It's always kind of fun. And again, like this movie is a film that it's comedy, horror, but most of all, I think there's just like fun. Like Dave said that the drunk people annoyed him, but that's like the funny part.
That's the movie. Like,
well, and the funny thing about the drunkenness, I mean, you have the town drunk who's drunk all movie,
like,
but he's not annoying. But he's not annoying, and then you got our lead character who's obviously a raging alcoholic. But he's not even annoying. I mean, the real like drunk.
The most annoying one is the girl who doesn't.
The thing about it is like, they get drunk, but they're not acting like frat boys or anything.
No,
and the whole idea of them getting drunk is like you're not just like if you're drunk, you also can't really defend yourself because like you're not agile, like you have delayed responses to everything. So it almost creates like another element that makes it harder for them.
Which is kind of ironic, right? Because you're not as good when you're shit faced, right? You know what I mean? But like, it's the only thing at this point that's actually going to save your life.
Yeah, like you kind of like you kind of glaze over the contrast a little bit because this movie is like on the comedic side. But like, if you like had a way of like somehow playing this concept serious, like it would look like it would probably like come out as something like a really dangerous part of the movie. So I thought it was kind of clever to do that anyway. I thought it kind of like created this dual like purpose. Yeah, like her character, the way she's acting is totally the way it would be because she's not really a big drinker, right? So she's the one that gets totally blasted and shit like that. And I don't really find her overly annoying. It's just like, when someone that doesn't drink that much gets super shit faced, that's how they act. Right. That's just if you're ever the sober person around someone that's really drunk, it is like the most annoying thing possible.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I get that too because like I've been around drunk people who when I'm not drinking, but like you have to accept that like, dude, they're just having fun.
Yeah, you do. It's like it just sucks when you're the babysitter. Like that feeling is just not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I will say though, like the accents in this are pretty damn thick though too.
Yeah,
they're thick, but like it's weird though because like I can understand pretty much everything they're saying in this film. There's other Irish films where I'm like, hey, they're about the same, but for some, maybe it must be just like the region. Maybe it's like the way the dialect is spoke, or maybe some of the slang and shit that's different. But like this one, like they're heavy, but like I can understand everything perfectly in this. I don't know, it's strange. So
yeah, I don't know. I watch everything with subtitles.
I mean, yeah,
but I don't have any problem. Like
I try not to with English films like that much because I find myself just trying to like reading the bottom all the time. But
dude, I literally can't live without like I hate like early Scream Factories didn't have subtitles. I fucking hate it. I need subs on every movie I watch.
Yeah, I watch subs on the. I mean, sometimes it takes me a second to adjust, like at the movie theater, because I'm so used to like seeing subtitles. I'm like, where are the subtitles?
I know. I've thought about asking for one of those devices. The devices that the deaf people get that they put on the seat that has the subtitles on them.
That's fucking
hilarious. You ever see people use this?
No, I've never seen that. That's
I've actually never seen
so
that.
So they have a device. It's like an electronic device that they put on that like comes on a pole and like comes up from the seat and has the subtitles as the film show. And I was like,
wow,
I should ask for one of those.
Oh man,
I didn't even know that. I guess that makes sense, right?
I've never seen that. Yeah,
I've never seen it either. Huh.
Must not have a lot of deaf people going to the movies where you're at.
I would imagine like that's probably just like not the most fun activity for a deaf person.
Right. It's even worse. For
There's probably just other things deaf people would like rather do with their spare time.
Did you imagine how worse it is for a blind person?
Oh my god, yeah.
Dude,
like all you'd hear is everyone else's conversations going on. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Actually, one of the craziest times I ever had, man, actually, like in a pub, was in a place called the Blarney Stone in Vancouver. I don't think that pub is there actually anymore, but it was a straight up Irish pub, and it was just fucking like the Irish people of Vancouver. That's where everyone hung out. And it was just like fucking batshit insane, dude. Like they would always have like people doing like these Irish song and dances in there. And the shit was like out of control in there. It was so much damn fun. I went to school with a guy. He was from back east in Canada, and he was Irish. And he's like, "Oh, we got to go check out this place. I heard it's really good." And we were both new to the city and stuff. And okay, we'll go check this out. And I was like, "Damn, dude, it's fucking nuts in here." It was crazy. So it just kind of reminded me, like I'm watching this thing, going, "Yeah, this kind of makes sense." In the pub scenes, like shit's getting out of control. I'm like, "Yep."
Are you guys Irish?
No,
I'm English.
Huh. I'm Irish.
My mom's side and my dad's side are both from families. Like I'm like 99% English. Yeah.
Why did you say it like that, Tyler?
Are you really Irish?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's a Mexican Irish.
My last name is Patrick, bro.
I'm retarded. You're right.
Yeah, you couldn't get any more Irish than that, right? Like,
yeah, I'm dumb.
I mean, really, if JP was a ginger, like you'd be just kicking yourself.
Maybe O'Malley or something.
Yeah. The O's are the mix. Like you definitely that's the stick out. I'm Polish. No, and, I'm in a really Polish city, and like half the kids I went to school with, like their last name ended in ski.
Yeah, I'm my grandfather. His parents were from Ireland.
Yeah. No, I'm from across the way, man. I'm straight from England. Both sides of the family. It's kind of weird too, like London area too.
I'm Mexican Irish mostly.
Yeah. Like my grandma still speaks with a heavy fucking English accent, man. She's been here since like 1960, early 60s, and it sounds like she just came off the boat, dude. Like yesterday. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, man. It's fucking nuts, man. Like everyone always asks, like, how long you been here? I've been here for like 60 years. Really? Like it's fucking crazy. You think that she just showed up yesterday? It's pretty wild. Yeah. So
yeah, I used to have a dude who I worked with whose dad was from England, and he had a really thick English accent.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm fucked straight up English, man. Mom and dad's side is pretty crazy. My mom's side, my great grandma actually came from a royalty line, super, super wealthy. And when my grandma married my grandpa, my great grandma disowned her because he was more of a peasant to her. Didn't come from.
I don't think there's a single person in my entire lineage of family who was wealthy.
I didn't know that. Okay, you want to hear something
like,
crazy?
I'm not even joking, bro.
See, they never spoke of my great grandma, like my mom and my aunties, like my aunties and uncles. They never spoke of their grandma because they disowned their mom, right? So I never knew this. I was like in my 20s, and we just got talking about like family and shit like that. It was actually after my grandma died. My grandma died like really young, like 61, and we just got talking about like family history and stuff like that. And my auntie mentioned that like their grandma, which was my great grandma, was where she was from. Like she was from royalty and blah, blah, blah. And that she's worth like millions of dollars. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like shocking to hear this. I'm like, oh, this is fucking ridiculous. So totally got screwed all this money because my grandma wanted to marry my grandpa, who was like a peasant, didn't come from a wealthy line or wealthy family and prestigious family, typical fucking upclass English shit. Right. And I was just shocked. I had no idea. And I was like, kept thinking to myself going, damn, dude, like, it's worth that much money. I don't get any of that shit. Total ripoff, man. Total fucking ripoff. But actually, my family history is actually quite intriguing. It's very intriguing. I'm not going to get into that shit right now, but because that's like hours of stories, man. It's pretty wild. And actually a little bit unbelievable, like who I'm actually related to and shit. It's pretty wild. But anyways, grabbers. I don't really like to talk about family shit, to be honest.
All right.
I'll just leave it at that. It's like
Says the guy who was talking about family shit.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Irish and English, and
I just asked if you were Irish, bro. I didn't ask you your family.
yeah. So to shorten up that shit, I'm English. Not. Thank you. That shit cracks me up. The fact.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like nowadays, like everybody has so many parts of, it's a melting pot. Like everybody's got so many different blends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like even with like the wife's family and stuff, like the Dutch people, like they marry other Dutchies. Like her parents are both like from fucking, they're straight up 100% Dutch and shit like that. So all kind of, so they're not really a mixed bag. Like they're all Dutch.
That's what I'm saying. It's like weird when you said you're just like English.
No, like it's just by chance though. It really is by chance because like my mom having a kid with like another straight up English, it's just weird. It's in like going back, like their parents are just first generation. Like it goes back, like everyone just was generations deep from England. It's crazy. It's just by chance, really. It's not like, like, oh, I'm going to get pregnant. Well, I need to find an Englishman. It wasn't like that. It was just totally by chance. But anyways.
Yeah. But Grabbers is a pretty cool move. Dude, when the guy got the squirt gun and he's like, it's going to be a flamethrower type thing. I was waiting for that to pay off. And then it kind of paid off, but not in the way you were expecting.
No, like
it's just like it played off for jokes.
Yeah, this movie isn't without its problems. I think there's a little bit of fault in like the narrative with the grabbers too. Like there's a scene later on in the film where one of the grabbers is going after Lisa, and it's inside, and it always bugged me because like we know that the way they survive on land is by being wet and by the rain and stuff like that. So the scene inside kind of drives me a little bit nuts because like it's not being rained on. There's no sprinkler going on it.
I assume that it's more, like you could take a fish out of water and it'll live for a little bit. But
I guess that's what you chalk it up to, but it just seemed weird that like they were so focused on, okay, it's raining, like we can't go out there because like it's going to be there. If it stops raining, we'll be fine. And like I kind of use that premise like, well, if you're inside, then you're safe, right? Because there's no logical way that it's going to start raining inside the house to keep these fucking things alive. But I don't know. It seems like kind of a minor plot hole, really, that it can survive. Like, I don't know, but whatever. We got to talk about the pros and cons, right? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just something it's worth noting.
It's definitely not perfect, but it's like, it's a fun movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude, this
like,
movie,
I don't think this movie is like a fucking 9 out of 10 or something now.
No, it's just one of those movies that is so damn fun to watch. Like every time I watch it, it rips by. It's like 90 minutes and you're just like smiling after. You're like, that's a fucking fun movie. Like, how could you hate this movie? I wouldn't get it if someone's like, oh, it's a piece of shit. But I'm sure it's got its haters out there.
There's people that just don't like fun movies. Like, it's a fun movie. Like, isn't it good enough?
Right. Like, there's different levels of films. Like, why can't someone just watch a movie and have fun with it? Why does it have to be like the best thing ever made?
You have to do that to keep yourself honest. Like, I swear to God, like you can't just like watch like one like type of movie. You need to watch like all different levels of movies to like keep yourself honest. So you don't become
if you don't watch like some mediocre to bad movies, like whenever you find that gem, which we'll be talking about next week.
Yeah, the next week's show.
Like it makes that gem hunt so much better. I used to love that about I still do, about like when we prep for a year, like we know the good ones, we know the bad ones,
but those prep sessions are all about finding the hidden gems. Like that's
just
the
like
point
fun.
of it.
It's so fun, like seeing the flavor of a year.
It really is, man, because you never know what you're going to come across, man. Like every year that we've done, there's always been first time watches, blah blah blah. Like, there's always something that's going to stick out. I
had two first time watches in my top 5.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, and
me too. Like the 2011, like the it's so fucking guilty of romance. So, there's one. But the prep I always have so much fun. That's why I kind of started hammering out the 75s. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love that time period. I swear, like I love the 60s and 70s. I know that's like weird, like to most horror fans, but
No, 70s is highly respected among horror fans.
If honestly, like I know a lot of people, like you take Tom for instance, Horseball. Again, bringing up Tom. Shout out to Tom. Like we talk about films and stuff, and like the 70s is by far his favorite decade. And like,
remember Zach?
70s, I think is easily my favorite. But I think 60s is my favorite time period in film in general.
Zach was also like the 70s was his favorite.
Huge 70s fan. Like
whatever happened to Zach? Have you talked to him?
He actually, okay, so get this. I haven't talked to Zach in so long, and he randomly messaged me about, I think it was about a day or two after I put up that mammoth fucking update. I guess he was watching it, and he's like, "Hey man, thanks for letting me know about the TV cut of Needful Things on the Kino Blu-ray because it's like 3 hours long." He's like, "I didn't even know that was on the Blu-ray." He's like, "Now I got to pick that up and watch that and shit." He's like,
"That sounds kind of awesome."
So I'm like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Like, fuck. So I mean, I guess he's still watching my videos.
Well, glad he's still kicking.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
He always talked about dying.
I know, right? So,
but yeah, no, Zach was cool. He's a long time listener. I'm sure he probably still listens, I imagine.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I go back and forth honestly with like the 70s, and like I love the 60s and 70s and 80s. Like I really kind of go back and forth between the 70s and 80s. Like I have my moments, right? But like right now, like I'm stuck in the 70s and I'm just loving it. It's crazy. So
it's so weird for me. Like my favorite era of films for like regular movies is probably the 70s and the 90s for regular movies, because the 90s,
I like the 90s a lot too.
Honestly, the 90s was a great decade for like any other genre,
right? Yeah, except for horror. Like the 90s, like in terms of like action films, art house films, like we were getting so many such like a new style of filmmaking too,
especially the early 90s. Like 90 to like 94 was incredible, man. There's so many movies in there that are just incredible.
Like even Oscar films were like fucking amazing. Like now Oscar films, like I could care less about usually. Like some of them I like.
I haven't seen an Oscar film
to watch
probably since the 90s.
I saw most of the stuff this year, and honestly, like aside from I'd say maybe 2 movies, the nominations were pretty solid. This is one of the better years, but like, I mean, last year was like a joke. Like to me, like with the winners.
The last year I was really invested was the year Parasite won.
Yeah, that I would agree with that. Like it just, I've just like started like in the time since like that's when I really started just like watching a shit ton of movies. Like the amount of movies a year I started to watch like really started to climb, and I just started to watch stuff that like was so far out of my comfort zone. And since then, I just like have not given a shit about the Oscars at all.
I think Parasite's probably the probably the last movie I like Oscar winning film I own, besides probably since like did Forrest Gump win Best Picture?
Forrest Gump won Best Picture too, but like think of the nominees way back like, in the 90s. Think of the nominees with Forrest Gump though. Like you also had Pulp Fiction, you had The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, like I said,
that year is
94.
Insane.
It was so good. Like I was saying, man, like 90, it's crazy how many good films are in those years, dude. It's nuts.
Art house movies that year are also insane too. Like that year is so rock solid.
Yeah. There's lots of good indie shit in that time period. Like what year did Kids come out?
95.
Was it 95? Like even 90, like man, dude, like I remember watching
95.
Kids when it came out and I was like fucking blown away. Cause like, I'll never forget it, dude. I was like, Kids, Inner City Kids, and like the soundtrack was so fucking dope. They were playing like Tribe Called Quest, and even Tribe back then, it was my favorite group of all time, right? I'm like, what? And it just like hook, line, and sinker, man. It just got me, dude. Like, fucking love that shit, man. It was so great.
What else came out?
Such a great experience.
Heat. That's all I can think of.
Heat. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but if you look at 2019, the films that were nominated: Parasite, Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker,
Joker.
1917.
So I own that one.
Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love all those movies.
Oh, so
there's only 2 of those. There's only 2 movies I kind of find embarrassing on that list, so that's pretty good.
Ford versus Ferrari.
That and Jojo Rabbit.
Well, there's also Little Woman and Mary.
Oh, that movie is not good either.
So all those movies that you just mentioned, I have never even heard of. So, but I've seen all the other ones. That's crazy.
Dude, Jojo Rabbit being
I don't know what that is.
for Best Picture is just so. It's the movie you've seen this because you actually shit on this movie like on a random episode of 22 Shots, like when you were just taking viewer requests, and I thought it was random, just not close to a horror movie. It's the movie where like the guy plays like the goofy version of Hitler. Scarlett Johansson's in it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's. Oh, I totally
sucks.
forgot. I forgot what that was, man. Oh my god. Okay, so
Yeah.
I thought for some reason I remembered him talking about.
Okay, so the other three I have never even fucking heard.
So
of.
they shafted Uncut Gems and they shafted The Lighthouse.
Yeah, and honestly, Uncut Gems, man, is a really, really good movie.
Dude, like, I mean, I'm not mad about Joaquin Phoenix winning Best Picture. Like, I mean, Best Actor. Like,
I love Joker.
No complaints, but like, dude, Adam Sandler deserved a nomination.
He did, man. And you know, Adam Sandler, man, has done some really good dramatic roles.
Did anybody watch that movie with him called Spaceman?
I heard it's like not great.
No,
I didn't watch it.
Punch Drunk Love is another movie he did where he's phenomenal in that movie.
He's really good in that film, man. That was is that a fucking
it's Paul Thomas Anderson
or Anderson?
Thomas Anderson.
What did I say, Thomas? Yeah. It's a good film. I mean, he even did, like, his performance in Spanglish is really good too, like for dramatic roles and shit.
Yeah,
right?
I've never seen that, but I've always heard people say that movie's not good, but his performance is really good.
Yeah, it's not the greatest movie, but honestly, if you're gonna watch that, just to be kind of wowed by like Adam Sandler not being funny at all, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty impressive, like how he can just turn that shit completely off.
Bro, you go back to Click and you could see Adam Sandler can do more than just comedy.
Oh my god, Click
it's
is
just like
I hate that movie.
Years, he's making
so
like
depressing.
family friendly like Netflix movies.
He signed that Netflix.
So he's just
deal,
acting
right?
like a goofball. Yeah, so he's just acting like a goofball, like so kids can enjoy it. Like kids of today can enjoy his movies, but like
I liked Hubie Halloween.
I
did too, man. I thought it was fun as hell, man. Yeah, that Netflix deal, man, is like so random because like it's so hit and miss with the movies. Some of them are okay, some of them are terrible. But like Hubie Halloween, that movie was fun.
He gets like real people in his movie. He got Nicole Kidman in one. He got Jennifer Aniston in one. Like my man, the Sandman. I love Adam Sandler.
He did 2 of those movies with Jennifer Aniston.
Dude, he's the guy. I love Adam Sandler so much.
I mean, he did like what, 4 movies with Drew Barrymore. Like
yeah,
like at least
like
4
when
of
she
them.
was hot shit too, like in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, The Wedding Singer is actually my favorite Adam Sandler movie. It's fucking kills. I love that.
That's like one of my least favorite Adam Sandler movies.
Oh my god, dude!
I liked it a lot
so
more when I was
funny.
a kid, and I rewatched it probably like within the last 2 years, and I liked it a lot less like on the rewatch.
It's funny because like I'm not a big fan of like romantic comedies and shit, but for some reason that movie just kills me. My favorite part is like, so her name's gonna be Julia Gulia, and the guy's like, yeah, Julia Gulia. Like he doesn't get how fucking stupid that. I love that shit, man. I don't know. I love Wedding Singer. It's fun. Me and Dylan actually used to watch that almost every single morning when we were at the airport when he was there. We'd work together. We'd set
Isn't
up
it
a flight in the
awesome
morning.
working with one of your friends?
Yeah, dude. So me and him, we'd go back to the break room, just be me and him. Everyone else would fuck off. And we had like a stack of, someone brought in like a shit ton of burnt discs of movies and shit. So we'd go through them, but it would always be The Wedding Singer. We just throw on The Wedding Singer because we both like fucking always laugh at it. So I don't know why. It's because we had like a couple hours until the next flight, so we could always watch a movie in the morning after the Head Start left. It's hilarious.
I'm definitely a Happy Gilmore Billy Madison kid.
Yeah,
I'm a Little Nicky big.
I love kid. Little Nicky too. Oh man, that was.
See, I watched Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison so many times that like when The Wedding Singer came out, I was like, okay, you know.
I used to be Team Happy. I think I'm Team Billy now. I
like Happy more than Billy.
I used to like Happy more than Billy, but I think now
I like Waterboy more than both of them.
I like Waterboy a lot too. That's one of the ones I thought held up the best.
I saw that in the theater actually. One movie, Anger Management, I fucking hated.
I didn't like that movie either. That's kind of honestly like once he really.
I didn't mind Anger Management.
I thought it was terrible.
I think he really started to taper off after Little Nicky. Little Nicky is like the last.
I think he started tapering off whenever Mr. Deeds came out.
That would have been right before Little Nicky.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Honestly, Big Daddy was in that era.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You're wrong, bro.
Big Daddy was like early 2002, wasn't it?
That was 1999. You're
okay,
right. I was getting Mr. Deeds confused with Little Nicky. So like Mr. Deeds would have been the next movie though. I still think Mr. Deeds is pretty good.
I didn't really like Mr. Deeds. No. I didn't. But
I liked 8 Crazy Nights too though.
Big Daddy's fun.
Yeah,
Big Daddy's a fun fucking movie.
Yeah, Big Daddy's awesome. There's so many quotables in Big Daddy.
That actually might even be my second. I honestly like
goddamn Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so awesome. Like that kid grew up like with his twin to have an actual career.
I love Steve Buscemi as the homeless dude. Fucking makes me laugh, man.
I love Steve Buscemi, period.
Oh, me too, man. Me too, man. Steve Buscemi's fucking. Steve Buscemi actually was a firefighter before he became an actor.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. Steve
He was
Buscemi,
legitimately a fucking firefighter. And I think when the 9/11 shit happened, like he fucking went there and suited up again. It's crazy.
He's like
that is exactly true.
Is it really? Okay.
Wow, man. Steve
I don't even fact
Buscemi's
check.
a fucking legend.
I don't fact check here.
I knew that. Like I knew that's what you were gonna say. I've seen that like in an article before that he was a volunteer firefighter, and then, like when 9/11 happened, he just suited up.
Yeah, man, it's fucking very noble. It's good shit.
I like him as Garland Green in Con Air. He's a creepy motherfucker in there.
Buscemi's good in everything. I mean, honestly, dude, like Reservoir Dogs. Like
Shut up, Donnie.
He's
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
His fucking monologue.
Character in Reservoir
Dogs. He's 100% the best character.
Honestly,
I love him.
He's the only person who actually
he keeps ahead.
Is like following the fucking rules, bro. He's a professional.
But like his monologue, man, about tipping and the diner scene is so fucking epic. But you got to give it up to Tarantino for writing that dialogue, though, man. Like that's good. Word for fucking word.
Yeah,
literally word for fucking
that's
word.
That's the thing about Tarantino. Like even in Pulp Fiction, the whole like Royale with cheese thing. Like, did some of the conversation that's where Tarantino's his best. Just people talking.
Well, I mean, that's why he doesn't allow people to improvise.
Tarantino is just like such an anomaly. Like if you look at other like great like auteur filmmakers, like references and biggest influences, they're all like really the same like 30-40 directors. Tarantino just likes the most insane shit as influences. I love it.
Yeah, man. I just like how he doesn't allow people to improvise on his dialogue
to the beat of his own drum.
Dude, like I saw a list of like Tarantino's like top 200 favorite movies or something. You can see it on Letterboxd, and like half of the movies on there are like just obscure random movies and like so much shit that's like just great
exploitation shit.
Well, not even that, just like random like stupid like teen comedies from the 90s or like silent films from like Howard Hawks no one's ever heard of, like stuff like that.
I think there's a lot of things that made Tarantino who he is. Like if you read his latest book, his mom pretty much dated black guys exclusively after his dad left or whatever. Well, and a lot of her boyfriends would take him to like blaxploitation movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he loves that shit.
Yeah, like so he got.
Well, he did Jackie Brown. That was his
so
tribute.
many people,
and like he literally like told Pam Grier like I'm gonna write a movie for you, and she's like so far out of like her prestige at that point. She's okay.
Well, it's funny because a year before she actually had done Larry Cohen's original Gangsters in 1996, and then she.
When he
kind of got resurrected in that film, and then 97 he did Jackie Brown with Tarantino, which is
when he told her
this, he told her this in like 95 or
like 90, like 94, like 95,
okay, so
like
pre Larry Cohen, because Larry Cohen, people forget like that was his third blaxploitation film in his career. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's another one. I missed it. It streamed on Criterion for a little bit. I forgot what it's called, but like I missed it before it left. It was like some random blaxploitation movie he did. It looked so cool. It's from the 70s, I think.
I mean, technically, if you consider Bone to be blaxploitation, which
it wasn't that.
Yeah, because I don't really consider that. It's just has a black lead in it. It's not really a blaxploitation film, but like so like original Gangsters is considered one, but yeah, but Larry Cohen, that's how he started his career. So Hell Up in Harlem and the Caesar film. So
holy shit, dude!
Oh, that's what it was
about. Grabbers in Forever.
Oh, it's Black Caesar. That was the movie.
Yeah, Black Caesar was his debut film, and then Hell Up in Harlem was the follow up to that, and then he did Bone right after too with Kodo. So yeah, good shit. But what are we doing?
Talking about
I don't even know how we got here.
Yeah,
dude, we are the fucking kings of tangents, man.
I can't even tell you where this originated, but it somehow ended with Larry Cohen.
We went from fucking
movies.
We just went from Adam Sandler to like Pam Grier and blaxploitation and like fucking talking about Larry Cohen's fucking blaxploitation films. Like what the hell? Speaking of that, but Bone needs a good release, man. Bone is a great fucking movie.
But check out for the listeners and you guys, check out Tarantino's last book from last year. It was really good.
Yeah, I should actually read. Yeah, I love Tarantino, man. Fuck, I watch this shit all the time.
He talks about De Palma a lot in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
he
mean-
loves De Palma. Blowout's one of his favorite movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
he talks
honestly,
about Blowout,
Tarantino's like,
Carrie.
I see a lot of myself in like just
I
in love
love
for like so many different type of genres.
Dude, I've seen uncomfortable amount of myself in Quentin Tarantino.
Like the
which
fact that
probably
he
means
loves
I'm a
like these
weird narcissist.
crazy,
Well, he's
fucking
also
weird, obscure
confident.
films.
That's one big thing about him too, is he's confident. Like he's so confident in his opinion and his vision.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
That's why I love his
about him-
interviews. I love his interviews. He's great.
The thing like I appreciate about him too is like he talks so like candidly and down to earth, like he's just a film fan more than I see other directors really talk like that, but at least I've watched. And like he also like he'll like not like a movie and he won't just fucking shit on it. You know what I mean? He'll like tell you why he doesn't like it from like a fair like critical point to it. And like I really like appreciate that about it. Like it just makes it seem like he's something-
I mean, it's something that we try to focus on this show too. If we don't like something, we're going to tell you why. I'm not just going to go,
and that's, like,
Grabbers is a
something-
fucking piece of shit review or ratings. You know, like some people really
that's
do
something
that. It's
how
fucked up.
I always felt like that's something I try to live like I try to like live by just like as a film fan, even like when I shit on something. But like I see like so much like from like other communities, people just wanting hot takes and just shitting on movies. And
Yeah,
it just
that's the
drives me
internet effect.
insane.
I hate
man.
hot takes.
That's
dude.
the internet effect, dude. People, it's called
it drives
attention
me
seeking.
insane.
It's people, you know, for lack of a better term, but that's, you know, they're trying to grab the attention of the internet, man. Hot takes is bullshit, dude. It's just people fucking trying to be like, oh, you know, this is what nobody really thinks like that. Come on. It's
man.
fucking bullshit. It's fucking
It
bullshit.
drives me up a wall.
But whatever. Okay, fucking Grabbers. Jesus, we just talked about tangenting and then we tangent again during the tangent.
I know.
We're the only
Let's be
we're
real.
the
That's
only
what people are
podcast
tuning in for.
that can have a tangent during a tangent. We're out of control, dude. We're out of fucking control. Oh my god, we're stupid. Anyways, you guys want to wrap this up? Like, get ratings. I don't really know what else to say about
There's
that.
not much
I think we
more.
wrapped it up a while ago and just went on a tangent.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll go first. Grabbers. I don't even know what the fuck to rate this. How to rate? It's a really damn fun movie. It looks good. It's shot well. It's acted well. It's not over the top. I mean, there's some really clever scenes, and I talked about the gun scene. I talked about some of its faults and stuff like that. I mean, you know, it's just a really damn fun movie. I highly recommend watching this. Like, if you're just in the mood for something that's kind of lighthearted, fun, and something you don't want to take too serious, Grabbers is your movie. It's fun as hell. I'm gonna give this one a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's good.
Sweet. I'll go next. Grabbers is fun. Sorry. Grabbers, Jesus. Grabbers is fun, and I like the setting. The monsters actually look pretty cool considering they're pretty basic. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Tyler.
Grabbers is good. Grabbers is pretty fun, but Grabbers is nothing crazy. 6.5.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected me to be the highest, and yeah, you can almost predict that shit.
Tyler actually came in higher than I expected, so I had you pegged at 6.
Yeah.
Who, me? Or Tyler?
Oh, me.
Tyler, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem like something that he would be given too high of a rating, so yeah, makes sense. But all right.
Good plus.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fucking fun movie.
Yeah.
Stop being so dramatic, listeners. Seriously.
Dave Z, stop being so dramatic.
Honestly, it's not goofy. This is not a goofy film. I mean, the premise
It's just like sometimes you
It's
like
a
I
little
can't.
goofy.
It's
a
like
little goofy.
I want some sweets with my meat sometimes. You know what I mean? Like
Shaun of
everybody
the
likes
Dead.
barbecue once in a while.
Right. Shaun of the Dead is way goofier than this, and I'm saying that. Anyways, Grabbers from 2012.
22 shots.
All right, so moving into the second film here, we're going to go back to 2014 with a film called From the Dark.
10-year anniversary.
And what?
It's its 10-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah, it is 10. Wow, 10 years. Crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, so this one is directed by Connor McManus.
Oh, he's Irish.
Yeah, I can never pronounce the dude's name correctly. I'm so bad with those type of names. But he is also really known for directing actually a couple really popular Irish films. Of course, Dead Meat, which we mentioned in the intro from 2004, was a Fangoria film released over here in Region 1. And he also directed Stitches. So we know Stitches.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
this is kind of
He did Stitches. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, well, I wanted to
He's
mention
like the GOAT Irish horror director at this point.
Well, from what I remember, Dead Meat was pretty cool. And you know, it's a different kind of tone. But I just found it quite interesting that this is the film that he did after Stitches, which kind of makes sense because Stitches is obviously like a horror comedy and, you know, it's got its moments. But from the dark, though, I wanted to mention is like, it's just a dark horror film, right? Like it's
dark.
polar opposite to Stitches. So I just want to put that out there. So a quick little synopsis. A couple on a trip through the Irish countryside find themselves hunted by a creature who only attacks at night.
It's a vampire, bitch.
It is basically a vampire movie without calling it a vampire. It's like, I think they just don't really refer to anything because they're too busy trying to fight for their lives and stuff like that. I like in a sense, this movie is kind of like what JP calls is like a contained horror film in a sense, right? It mostly takes place in a isolated environment, which is like a house in the countryside, so basically the setup is this couple is, traveling through the countryside, going to do some whatever they're going to do. They break down. Buddy goes to this isolated kind of house cabin thing, and he finds a dude in there. And he's all like fucked up and shit. So he goes and grabs his girlfriend and says, "Hey, we need to help this dude." But what we know that this guy's all fucked up because of the basically the setup to the film, the intro, which I really like the way they do the intro and stuff. I think it's pretty cool. Or the opening scene in the film. I think that's really neat.
I think
it's
that too.
I think it's really neat because he's just doing his thing. He's like, you know, whatever he's doing. I'm not even sure what the fuck he's doing, to be honest. He's like, what do you call that? Like he's
digging
for, I don't know. But anyways, he comes across like some kind of wood thing and he pulls it out, and we know right away what he pulls out. It's like a stake, and resurrects this monster, I'll call.
It's a vampire.
It's definitely a vampire, and it's
like
cool.
a Nosferatu vampire.
It is. It's like it's in a sense the vampire kind of looks like a combination of like Nosferatu and like Salem's Lot kind of thing. It's like a version of like both of those, but like more almost.
I thought he kind of looked like the Creeper.
Yeah, maybe kind of like the Creeper in there too. Like it definitely has its own design. It's pretty neat, but I kind of put those two together, and I'm like, if you mash those together and kind of like age it a lot, you kind of get like the monster from or the vampire from the dark. But it doesn't play itself out exactly like a vampire. It feels like it's just more of a like.
It feels like more of a creature movie. Yeah, it doesn't have like vampire behavior.
Yeah, like you're just trying to survive this monster attack kind of thing, right? So
it's like, you know, like how from Dusk Till Dawn the vampires are like more creatures like in the end of the film.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that a bit. But the interesting thing about this movie is like there is a very like lack of dialogue in the film,
which I don't mind because this is a serious horror film, like a serious monster horror film.
Yeah, it's like a cat and mouse thing almost.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely a survival. That's why I was like thinking like a survival captive against captor type deal.
It's relying on, yeah, you're right, a lot of non-dialogue. Well, there's only two characters basically in the film besides.
Yeah, it's just like who's she going to talk to?
Besides the two monsters, I mean, the old guy that gets turned into one, and then they got to battle against two. But there's really only two main characters in this film, and so you don't really need a lot of dialogue. You get that dialogue in the setup when they're driving. You know him.
Yeah, I wasn't saying lack of dialogue is a bad thing. I was just
no, and that's what I really like about this film. It solely focuses on the horror elements, like the darkness and like, you know, the creature in the night and stuff, and the survival angle of this and like what's going to happen next kind of thing. And I think it's very suspenseful. I think it's actually really, really well done, to be honest. I really liked this movie when it came out, and
I remember liking it too. I think we got it in like 2015 or 16,
something like that. Yeah.
I remember the year that it came out was a really competitive year, so it didn't even like sniff my top 10. But
yeah, I just remember watching this film going, holy shit, this is the same guy that did Stitches. I was like completely taken back by it.
That is a lot of range. Like that's something you definitely have to respect.
Yeah, dude, it's like a totally polar opposite type film, and I think it really worked. I mean, again, when your focus is, you know, the horror side of things, you know, like the slow kind of paced cat and mouse angle, and of course it's all set in the dark, from the dark. I mean,
he actually utilizes the darkness as like a tool for the film, like in an era where that's not really done anymore.
It's like a character itself. The darkness is like a character itself, right? Like it's, you know, the whole thing is happening because of this. And I mean, there's some cool moments in this film though, man. Like, this feels like a real kind of modern, like straight up, like serious horror film. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I love movies that are set all in the dark. Like I always talk about, you know, 30 Days a Night, like the premise being so damn cool. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's fucking super scary. Like they're in the dark for 30 days and like, they're being hunted by vampires. And, you know, if you know the lore of vampires, that's a scary fucking idea because that's 24 hours a day, man. Because generally you have 16, maybe, well, depending on where you are, but you have a lot of daylight. Not here. So
yeah,
scary.
And it's like when it comes to like vampires or like the like this film in particular, like I like the setting in this isolated, like Irish countryside. Like the sky looks good, like it's real dreary, you know. It's just okay, it's muddy, it's
very fucking ominous, man. There's like, it's so quiet in scenes. There's barely there's moments in this film where there's literally no sound. The soundtrack or the score, whatever, no, the score in the film is just the wind. It's very, very low. It's very ominous. It's very atmospheric. There's like no music. And I love that about it because it doesn't.
I feel like I need to notice that more.
I didn't really notice that.
It doesn't need to be there. Like it just doesn't need to be there. It's focusing on what's out there. And by not having that, you know, that background music, just having the wind blowing, you're focusing on like, holy shit, there's something out there. And I really like that. It just feels like a straight up horror film. This is one of those films you watch late at night by yourself, super quiet until it's not. And yeah, it's good, man. I think it's shot really well because, you know, again, it's all shot at nighttime, and these type of films are hard to shoot and make them, you know, where you can actually see what's going on.
They are definitely very difficult. Because I did feel like this film did struggle with that at times, but it is
a little bit at times. Yeah. It was a little bit too dark. But I will
what scenes? Because I know there's one scene maybe in the house. Oh no, or maybe it's when they go out. I can't remember.
I think most of the time it was in the house because it was like a lot harder. It was probably a lot harder for them to control like the natural lighting, like. Yeah, when they were like in the house, and like same thing. Like I think there was a scene she was like hiding outside too, that like you couldn't really see shit, but it wasn't really a big deal then. Like it's and it's not like these are awful things. There are just like moments like when you do shoot in the style where it is hard to see what's going on.
It doesn't overly bug me considering the movie premise is in the dark. You know what I mean?
No, like, it's not like a giant. It's not like a giant issue or anything. Like there's movies that's like it's like a way bigger offense.
Right. What were you going to say, JP?
I was just saying that like I don't think it's like because of the fact that this movie is dealing with like darkness in the title and the storyline itself factors into that. It doesn't bother me as much that there's moments where it's a little hard to see what's going on. But I will say also that when I watched this before. I've watched this this is my third time, I think. The first time I just watched it when we were prepping for whatever year it came out. And then I watched it on another podcast that was about hidden gems. Somebody picked this film.
Wow, great.
And which is odd considering we're doing a hidden gems show.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like that is just bizarre. And then obviously this time I watched it again. But I remember the first two times watching it, I feel like that was a bigger complaint that I had. That like me and Carly were talking about it when she asked what we were doing on this show, and I told her From the Dark, and she's like, "Oh, wasn't that movie where we couldn't see much?" And I was like, "Yeah." And but this time watching it, I don't know if like what I watched it on was like brighter, like contrast or something.
Yeah,
I watched it on Peacock actually. but I remember it being more of an issue before, but it wasn't this time.
Yeah, it could be transfer, man. I mean, actually all 3 of these movies I watched my DVDs, like literally all 3 on DVD.
I think I own this on DVD too.
Yeah, so like I always try to watch physical if I can. Like if I have a copy, like
maybe that's why it looked bad, because
I watched this on
fucking DVD.
I mean, honestly, it looks fine. It looks. I've watched my DVD a couple times. It looks fine to me, and I'm
Dude,
watching on.
I'm telling
like
you, bro.
It's an
DVD.
DVD screen.
I'm like almost completely out on DVD at this point. Like,
I literally haven't bought a DVD for like 12 years.
Yeah,
DVDs.
You know what, man?
So
I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate in the fact that like if that's how I can get it, because the first thing foremost is to watch things physically for me. So I mean, if I have it in my collection, it's on DVD. I'm gonna watch it.
I'd rather watch an HD streaming version than a DVD.
No, not me, because I'd rather watch.
I do have a couple DVDs like left in my.
I'm watching these things on an 80-inch TV, dude. Like, I mean, it looks fucking fun. It looks fine. It looks fine. It looks fine to me.
Some are better. Some are better than.
Some are better than others. I do.
I mean, it's a
4K TV. I mean, it probably upscales these things a little bit, but like, I mean, it looks fucking clear as shit to me, man.
It
looks
does.
Clear as shit.
I actually have a good example of this. Because
I'd rather watch a VHS than a DVD at this point.
But
that makes no fucking sense.
I watched Manborg on DVD for 2011, and it looked fine. Like I wouldn't have questioned it.
Dude, 2011. I watched it
kind of funky.
I watched a ton of.
It is in front of a green screen, but it's something like if you would have said this was a Blu-ray transfer, I wouldn't have argued with you.
I mean, it's about the film for me. I mean, honestly, dude, like,
well,
I mean, the only way you can get something is on DVD. I'm like, fuck, and like. I don't know, man. I don't really have a problem with it, man. I mean, I bought this back in 2014 on DVD. Like, I don't think the Blu-ray was out at the time, so
it probably wasn't. Probably doesn't.
There probably still isn't a Blu-ray, honestly.
Well, I will say though, just like to the argument of it, also like recently, I watched Dead Alive on Blu-ray because that's all I have, or Brain Dead, and that looks like shit on DVD.
Yeah, there are
on DVD.
That look really bad.
Oh no, that.
Yeah, I mean on DVD. I meant on DVD. Like the DVD of Brain Dead looks like shit.
Oh, but that movie's also shot on like really like grainy stock and shit like that too. So
like so some movies are going to scale better than others for sure because I bet you Manborg was probably shot digitally.
Yeah. It's got lots of filters in it too.
Just like to play like Avagear, where JP is right, where that movie looks like shit on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I just think DVD. Like when we were doing 2005. I had so many DVDs from 2005 that were 2005 movies, and I was like, dude, this is awful.
It's just it's my whole connection with films. Like if I have something on physical copy, I'm going to watch that on physical. It's just the way I am. It's more of a connection.
I don't streaming version and see a better quality version.
I just don't want to watch it on my if I don't have to watch it on my laptop, if I can watch it on my big screen, I'm better.
I am going to watch it on a big screen.
Yeah. I watch almost everything on my TV.
I never
traveling.
Yeah, I don't stream anything on the big screen unless it's like Netflix or fucking.
You're missing out, bro.
But what was I going to say again? Like I only collected DVDs for a year, and then when I moved, I just I cleaned out like my collection. Like,
man, you guys are the most pretentious assholes I've ever met. DVD, fucking DVD. Like Jesus Christ, come on,
dude.
Man.
Okay,
what are you ridiculous?
You also.
You guys are so fucking spoiled. You guys are so fucking spoiled.
You also got to understand my perspective.
I'm like,
they do suck.
You literally just said that you would rather watch a VHS and that makes no fucking sense.
Okay, the reason why it makes sense is because if I'm gonna go bad quality, I might as well go for some atmosphere. Because VHS have an atmosphere to them.
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know where I am right now, man. This is
from
ridiculous.
My perspective. I started collecting movies in like 2011, and like that's when Blu-rays are really starting to get like really widespread and affordable. So it just made sense for me to only collect Blu-rays after like a year, and I got rid of most of my DVDs. And I said, if it's something that like I care about, I'm just going to get it again on Blu-ray anyway, and that's probably been the case for most.
Dude, don't get me wrong. If I pretty much, I'm not going out of my way to buy DVDs, but if it's literally the
I get what you're saying, but like that's just my perspective.
At this
on
point,
DVDs
though,
because that's when I came into collecting.
If it's the only way to get a film at this point, I'll just wait for the Blu-ray.
Yeah, but honestly, everything is coming out though, like
because I'm not going to spend
a lot of the time you can get a bootleg. A lot of the times you can get a bootleg that's like better. I have a
Yeah, because it's
bootleg.
the HD version.
Yeah, like I have a bootleg of The Devils and I have a bootleg of Happiness, and I'm not confident those are ever getting released. And like those both look really
Well,
good.
The Devils isn't getting released. We know that.
Why?
It's just so controversy, man. There's so much controversy
wrong
with
with
that
it?
film. Well, it's the content. I mean, that movie's been hacked to
I
shit.
have faith. Honestly, I have faith both will eventually get released, but I'm not holding my
I
breath.
feel like that's
Those,
one movie that we'll never see a good release of.
For
Like,
some
I
reason,
think I
like
have the best
I could
DVD
see
version of it.
That was on it was streaming on.
Yeah, but
It's still streaming
it's
on
the cut
Criterion.
version.
Yeah, it's still streaming on
No,
Criterion.
it was the uncut version.
No.
They made
No,
a big deal about that.
the cut version is streaming on Criterion right now. But it's like it's an hour and 48 minutes, so that's like literally like 15 minutes cut.
Yeah.
Like Clown House, I never see stream. I will never.
Yeah,
see
that's not coming out.
on disc. You know,
It's the bad publicity from it isn't worth like the money he'd make.
hell no. That I'm actually surprised that
Fucking movie's not even
release any
getting.
of
You
his
can't even
films.
license that movie anyways. I think it's just done.
It does concern me.
MGM
They threw
never
that shit in
gonna-
jail. They threw that shit in jail,
Yeah.
man. It's
It
fucking
does
locked away, dude.
concern me though that like some movies might get buried in like from like the Sony library because of Disney. And there's
Well,
some
yeah, we're definitely seeing some weird stuff going on with Disney right now.
Oh, Disney has always been a fucking piece of shit, man. They're horrible.
They just canceled their
fucking-
movie club after like 22 years, which
I
made
know.
me sad.
I know it's
Yeah, I
fucking
saw
bullshit.
that.
Like they're just idiots. They're fucking.
And then I think the Aliens release that was supposed to hit 4K got canceled.
Yeah, it's right because they own all that. Oh my god, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on the Disney thing. It pisses me off.
And then another like little more like niche batch of films that like really concern me is I guess like before all that shit went down with Harvey Weinstein, they started buying up a bunch of like specialty titles because they were gonna launch like a boutique label like kind of like presented by Quentin Tarantino. And I guess now a lot of that shit's tied up because of him. And from what I've heard through the grapevine, like that was movies like Hard Boiled, like Bullet to the Head, like movies like that like are big like cult movies that are stuck on
Yeah,
DVD.
Well, I've got the Blu-ray of that, the Region 1 Blu-ray.
There's a original Blu-ray of Hard Boiled? What?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Boiled.
Yeah, it's on the Dragon Dynasty line. They
I
released,
didn't even know that.
They
Wow.
released like 15 Blu-rays, and then the line got cut. And I have all those things, man. It's crazy.
Wow. I gotta look into that now. I feel stupid.
Yeah, no, so it's there. But yeah, from
the dark.
from the dark. You know what's a badass fucking moment in this film, man, is when she gets like scraped and she knows she's got to do something about her finger and shit. And I love this scene.
That bitch off.
I love that scene too because it has like a double meaning, man. Like it's her fucking ring finger, right?
I
like,
never even fucking noticed that.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
I love that scene, man, because like she finds out right after because they have this conversation in the beginning of the film about marriage.
Which one's the ring finger?
Your left one, your left hand, second one in from your pinky.
Huh.
So anyways, like it's kind of cool moment in the film where beginning of the film they're talking about marriage and stuff, and the boyfriend's talking about like why would you get married? Like it's like he's kind of dissonant and shit like that. But anyways, we find out later in the film that he was actually going to propose to her. He had a ring and stuff like that. She finds out, and actually at this moment too, like he's actually turned. And so she not only like separated herself, like lost that part of her life, and then she has to lop off her ring finger with a chisel. It's fucking badass. It's actually pretty badass what she does, but I think that's pretty cool how they did that. Something I noticed. So anyways, just kudos to the director for doing that. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, nobody cares.
What?
Okay.
I said that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. You guys got anything else on From the Dark?
The only thing is that I almost wish we knew a little bit more about the lore.
It doesn't bother me one bit in this. I don't need to know shit, man. All I know is that there's something got resurrected and they're fighting for their lives. It's crazy. I actually really like it.
I didn't say it bothered me. I just say that I wish that I knew a little bit more about the lore.
It's funny because I bring that up in sometimes like some films.
Yeah,
like,
yours very like hard to read when it bothers you and when it doesn't.
Yeah, for some odd
In this
reason, like,
film, that's not
and
something that bothers
sometimes
me.
I can't even explain it, but for this movie in particular, it does not bother me one bit. All I know is that this dude fucking pulled a steak out of a vampire, and it's on. Like it's cool, man. It's more about the atmosphere for me. I love films like this.
Yeah, I'd rather a movie like this just pick up, like, get going right away.
Yeah, simple little intro.
Yeah.
You see what happens, and then it goes from there. It's like it's very simple, plain, to the point. But again, like atmospheric, dark film. I love these type of things, man. And I think it's done really well. I think she's a great lead. She's strong. She's badass because she fucking lops off her finger with a chisel, which is crazy to me. Could you guys do that? I guess.
I think you can accept it under the right, like, it's brutal, but you can accept it like under the right like conditions, like when your adrenaline is like pumping so much, like it would have been like for her. So I can like buy it.
The only thing I feel like I couldn't do is like something with my eye.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Or like
yeah,
like that in the newest Saw where they had to get the brain matter. It's like, bro, I'm not gonna be able to do
what?
that, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like
that just seems not fair.
I know. Like some people get, and that's throughout the whole franchise. It's like Amanda gets to cut open someone else's stomach. It's like okay, that's not too hard.
It's like deal,
but like
I'm not even
cut out your own eyeball. Like
no,
bro,
no.
What are you talking about? No,
I got an eye phobia, dude. I can't even watch that shit
on a planet that's gonna pass.
I can barely even watch that on like in movies and stuff, man. This fucking there's no way I could do that to myself. There's just no way. No fucking way. I love the ending to this movie too, like the way it goes down and shit. I think it's pretty cool. It's a great scene. Shot well. Throw that out there. Really cool scene, actually. Did you guys like the ending at all, or what?
This movie wasn't really for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I fucking love this movie.
It's not like a bad movie. There's not anything that's like overtly wrong with it. I just felt like the ending was.
So you don't like horror movies, then?
No, it's not. Listen, it's like I just felt like the ending was. I felt like the way this movie went was like really deterministic, and I didn't ever feel like there's any like real stakes. Like I just felt like this is exactly how it was gonna end, and I thought it was like kind of like formulaic.
Yeah, but that's pretty much 90% of horror films, though.
Like this one was fine. I think there's movies that do formulaic better than this, but that was fine. Like it wasn't great. wasn't awful.
I think it's really good. I think it's super solid. JP, are you there?
Hmm.
All right. Ratings, you want to go?
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. Not like I think it's better on HD than DVD.
You're a fucking idiot.
But no, yeah, no, it's I like the creature. I like the solo contained horror vibe with it. I think this movie will not work for you if you're not like into the movie, right? Like if you're not like, if the suspense and the like tension doesn't work for you, it's just probably going to be boring. Fortunately, it does work for me.
So basically, like the new generation of
yeah, like if you have bad
attention
ADHD
span,
like I do, like it might be tough, but depending on how you feel, this is a late at night movie. Don't watch this in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
I'll watch the middle of the day. I'll give it that.
Actually, so did I. But I love this movie. So
I actually watched it like an hour before we started. So
of course you did.
I watched it in the middle of the day as well. Dude, you fucked me this week, man. I was supposed to watch all my moves on the night that we ended up talking about shows for 3 in the morning.
I wasn't gonna fucking text that shit back and forth. That doesn't work. That does not work.
I was so glad I watched all the moves before that.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too.
It's fuck you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10.
All right, Tyler.
Thought it was all right. Didn't think it was bad. Didn't think it was great. Just kind of a mixed bag about it. I'll give it a 5.5.
Yeah, I think it's solid, man. You know, it's just a solid watch, man. For all the reasons that I talked about. 7.5 again. I think about the same as Grabbers. Totally different type of film, but very enjoyable. So, yeah.
All right.
All right. So that is From the Dark from 2014. All right. So getting into the third and final film here from 2017, we have The Lodgers. You guys seen this one before?
No, This was the one I haven't seen.
All right. Right.
But they showed this at the theater back when we had the Hollywood Theater out here in Pittsburgh. Which, by the way, if you ever come visit here, hopefully that theater is like around. It's a really cool theater. It's 100 years old. That's where I saw like Hatchet with Adam Green and stuff or Victor Crowley with Adam Green. But
yeah,
like back when this was probably like 2015, 16, like when I first met Carly, we started going to this theater all the time. They did like really cool stuff. Like one time they did like a John Carpenter fest where they showed like 4 Carpenter movies for like, I don't know, $15 or something. And you had to watch 4 Carpenter movies. They had like
that sounds so tight.
They had like this local caterer guy, not caterer, but like local like street cart guy come in with like empanadas and shit, like this Puerto Rican dude.
Street food dude?
What's that?
Street food.
Yeah, like street, like you know, like in the carts and stuff that they have. Yeah. And he did like empanadas and a bunch of this like vegan shit that I don't like, but it smelled good. But and they had like someone there selling Blu-rays and shit for that, and it was just really cool, man. Like I saw Amityville like 5 and 6 or like 4 and 6 like there in the theater one time, just like random shit like that. And then some company in Chicago, this was a non-profit theater, some company from Chicago bought it and fucking ruined it and turned it into like a second run theater where literally just like
that fucking sucks.
Whatever the popular movie is out, like Wonka or something, like it would just show there for like months, like a month after.
That's fucking lame.
Its main run, and it sucks so bad because I love that place. It was my favorite place to go to. They always had cool events, and then and it's historic too. Like all over the wall was like crazy pictures from like 80 years ago and stuff of like different like marquees and stuff that were outside in front like 100 years ago and shit. And one cool thing is the company who runs this other theater called Row House Cinema, which is like a art housey type theater that shows a lot of stuff. Like they showed like Skinnamarink and like local stuff and different shit. They actually bought it and they're renovating it right now. So hopefully it actually goes back to its former glory because I miss that so much. That was my favorite place to go.
We have one theater like that, like around me, but it's like, it's not like the most well-run place. And like the audience is like insufferable. It's because it's in a college.
This is all like Pittsburgh, like art housey, like film.
Yeah, I bet you have a nice scene down there. It's probably similar to I bet you it's similar to Boston, where like they have.
It's just like everybody's like got like different color, like dyed, hair, and
that's kind of how this place is. But like
Romero shirts and shit like that.
It just these kids they talk so loud like before the movie, so you hear their conversation like it's like they want to share with everyone, and they just try so hard to laugh at anything that's slightly humorous watching these movies while everyone knows how smart they are. It's like insufferable.
Actually, speaking of Rocky Horror that we mentioned earlier, the theater, the Hollywood that I was talking about, every Friday night they would screen Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Damn, dude, every Friday stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, every single Friday. It was like a party, pretty much.
Yeah. Next time there's a Yu-Gi-Oh event in Pittsburgh, I will make a point to come.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're gonna do tangents before we even start the reviews now?
I was just thinking that. It's like, how do we?
No, this was relevant.
Oh, okay. I see.
Because
I literally haven't even given the synopsis
Lodgers yet. There back when it was coming out, like Tragedy Girls, like they would get a lot of like the indie stuff that had a super limited release. Like and show it there, but The Lodgers was one of them that I remember that they were showing.
All right, so synopsis on The Lodgers. The fuck.
Whoops.
All A family curse confines orphan twins Rachel and Edward to their home in punishment for their ancestors' sins. Bound to the rules of a haunting childhood lullaby, the twins must never let any outsiders inside the house. All right, so you guys haven't seen this one before. JP, what's your thoughts on The Lodgers?
I think it's pretty good. Like it's like a period piece. You got this creepy like nursery rhyme, like folklore-ish type. It feels very, Irish. I
gotta say, it's done a little bit different. Like right out front in the film, they tell you the rules in this song, but you don't really realize what they're doing at first until dialogue later on. But like that song that you hear during the credits is literally the rules of the movie.
Yeah,
kind of cool.
And I just think that like the idea is like kind of twisted. Like it's like this curse where the brother and sister, the twins, will have eventually, have a baby, a set of twins, and then that set of twins will have a set of twins, and then the parents drown themselves in the pond or whatever. It's very like,
well, every single family member in the past has done this. They've gotten to a certain point and then they go and drown themselves in this. It's almost like how do you take that? It's almost like they almost have to sacrifice themselves to the curse in a sense.
Like they appease the things below.
Okay, so I've seen this movie twice and I want to get your opinion on this. So the cause of the curse, because it's kind of like,
I feel like this movie's really unclear.
It's super ambiguous in what the cause of the curse, because there's always a cause for a curse. Like something happens that creates a curse, right? Like we can agree on that. So what exactly is the cause of the curse? Now, my idea is, because there's obviously this major, overwhelming, incest part of the film with, obviously it's incest. So I'm thinking that the curse got caused from incest.
That's what I thought too.
I think that's what it is. So I think that the curse makes them, like, it's cursed them, and now it makes them do this over and over again, right? Because because they talk about being punished for their ancestors' sins, and the sin would be the incest.
That would make sense.
So and it's very unclear. Like, you actually have to think about this. You obviously know the incest thing is going on and on and on, right? But like, it is kind of ambiguous at times in the narrative of like what exactly is breaking the rules and what's really not breaking the rules at times. Like I feel like they kind of get loose in the narrative with these rules a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little bit confusing. I think right down to the end of the film where there is kind of like a sacrifice, quote unquote. Somebody gets taken and someone doesn't get taken. The curse is technically, I guess, broken at this point. I don't know. It's a little bit strange at times. I've watched it twice and it still kind of makes me think, but it definitely, it has its moments in it though. It does. And the first time I watched this movie back in 18, I think it was 2018 when I watched it. The first thing I thought it was the whole incest thing. I'm like, Jamie's gonna love this fucking movie. It's actually about incest. It's crazy. So, but yeah, kind of an interesting premise, but it's a little bit quirky, a little bit odd at times. You can question things a lot. I feel like they didn't really know exactly how to approach the narrative, so they just kind of beat around the bush with it. And I think it kind of fucks with the viewer a little bit too. I mean, when you watch this movie, it's like, it's kind of Victorian style. It's set in the 1920s and it's very beautiful to look at. Its cinematography is awesome. I think the acting's really good. But the whole narrative thing is just, it's open for interpretation a little bit at times, I think so. I mean, you're either going to like that or you're not going to like that. So kind of in the middle on this.
Yeah, it's a little artsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate that, but I didn't feel like there was like the biggest payoff in this movie. But this movie is like shot really, really well. The sets are like excellent. I like period pieces a lot too. And like when they just like look authentic like this, it's really nice. There's like right off the beginning, it kind of shows you like this is going to be like a nicely shot movie where there's this like nice, like almost like painting a shot with like the reflections in the water where it looks really good.
Yeah, anything that they do with water in this entire movie looks good.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's interesting too. Like, there's a scene in the end of the film where like she obviously, well, for the listeners out there, like there's basically like this kind of like this hole in the ground. It's almost like a basement in the house. And I will say one thing, about that whole idea of, I guess, kind of like their basement being full of water kind of thing. It doesn't it remind you of Inferno? Like the scene where she goes down in there and she's swimming, like it fucking takes from Inferno so directly, man. It like, I can't help but notice that that's Inferno right there. But there's this whole element of like, when you're breaking the rules and shit, the curse kind of like comes alive and it starts flooding this basement. But there's like this, or the main room, but there's this really weird part in the end of the film where she escapes this particular thing, but she comes out of the swamp out in the front of the house. I thought that was so I couldn't figure out how that worked. Like, is it connected to the house, like physically? You know what I mean?
What did you? I missed what you said. You said when she comes out of the
swamp in the end of the film, but remember she enters into the water through the house.
Yeah,
right.
So that probably like some kind of like canal.
Yeah,
they had a lot of like canals and shit.
So like the house is built on, but like it seems like that, like where the water is coming from is actually like another layer of the house. It's kind of like the scene in Inferno, right? Like in the bottom of the bit, like that was once an actual room that was just flooded. That's what I kind of gathered from that. It's really trippy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from with the payoff in the end of the film, Tyler, because like we get another character in this film that kind of convolutes things a little bit for like the rules, like breaking the rules and stuff like that. And it almost seems like he's brought into the narrative just specifically for like this sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of felt with that whole character, because
it felt kind of rushed to me.
Yeah. It's you almost feel bad for him though. Like he just kind of enters this whole situation. He's so naive to it. Like, but you know, like he doesn't really know the history and stuff, but there's a really great conversation in the film about like with her and the army vet who lost his leg and stuff. And he's like, why would you want to leave? Because he's naive to it. He doesn't understand that like she's bound by this curse, right? She can't actually leave the house.
Right.
But he's like, why would you want to go and see the world? Like I've seen the world, it's shit. And I really like that conversation because it's kind of true, right? Because like he just came out like World War I, lost his fucking leg and shit. Like, why would you want to leave? That's crazy. So it's kind of a powerful moment, like, you know, nice little contrast, but I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of like a timeless theme too. The movies I found a lot of movies reflect on just like why, like, or they like you're put in one like microcosm of the world that's just a reflection of the world outside. And they ask you like, why would you want to leave? It's the same thing there. It's just this is as like you're getting in this like small little area.
I mean, I just feel like the whole movie in that conversation just feels super nihilistic.
It's like a social criticism. It's kind of cool, actually. I didn't really pick that up like when I was watching it, but it's an interesting way to look at it.
But I think that conversation says what the filmmakers really like. It's super nihilistic, right? Like you're talking about curses, doom and gloom the whole time. Like she's bound by this house. This guy's talking about the real world, and it's all doom and gloom. Everything sucks. Everything's shitty. It's super nihilistic, man. And like, I kind of like that tone of the film because at times I feel like, I mean, we all have those nihilistic moments where everything sucks and everything's like doom and gloom and shit like that, right?
Absolutely. That's part of what makes you human.
Exactly. But I feel like this movie's just straight that, right? You either like it or you don't, but I think that's kind of interesting. And it's not like overly done either. That's the thing I like about it too. Like they have this conversation and like you said, you didn't even really read into that at that time until it gets mentioned. But I think that's kind of like an overbearing part of the narrative where you just, oh shit.
Dude, think about I'm so stupid, bro. I just had a crazy like epiphany. This entire time, I thought that Malum was a remake of Let Us Pray, not
The Last Shift.
Yeah, I'm so stupid because they're both police stations.
Why do you think it was Let Us Pray?
Because it's a police station.
Yeah, but we talked about it that it was The Last Shift, though.
But I got those two movies confused.
See, originally
it did not make a top list.
Yeah, see, I was fucking up. I was thinking it was when we were talking about being foreign. I was thinking The Last Circus the entire time we were talking about Malum, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's a remake of fucking you have those moments. You watch too many movies. Anyways, The Last Circus is a great movie, though. When it comes down to, that's a fucking good one. So yeah, like, I mean, I feel like this movie does have a lot of different layers, but like the core of it, man, I feel like it's a super, super depressing film, even though it's not really overly depressing ending for her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I feel like she accomplished what she wanted to do, was not have sex with her brother and create another fucking twins and continue and then just live out her days and kill herself on her birthday or whatever. But I feel like it's a little bit. I
feel like this movie like puts an atmosphere and like tone and vibes ahead of like story. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree with that.
I mean, honestly,
For sure.
I've seen it twice now, and the first time I watched it, I had to like really kind of think about it. So I was watching this movie a little bit different this time, and like, yeah, it's pretty unclear on. You can only really kind of speculate what caused the curse, but I'm pretty sure it is the incest thing. I think they're referring to like, you know, the reason why they got cursed on that is because you're going against God, right? Like incest is a sin. So I think that's
if that's true.
What caused the curse then?
No, I'm saying that I say is true. I'm saying I don't even know if it's a sin.
It's
probably
because
you don't think it's a sin to
Adam
fucking
and Eve,
have sex
bro.
with your. I know, but like,
you know what I mean? Like
that is true. It had to start somewhere.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't even know if it's a sin.
I mean, it's up for debate, I guess. But I mean, I'm assuming that incest, in the grand scheme of things, is probably a sin.
It should fucking
I
be.
once was told, I don't know if this person was full of shit, but like this was like kind of something that they were studying genealogy for college. And I guess a lot of the world like still practices like incest, and it's a totally normal thing. And it's about like preserving bloodlines.
Ugh.
Well, actually,
in the UK, right?
It's very common.
They tried to make it out to be like we were the weirdos of the world for like not doing that, and I was like, okay,
it's very common in royalty. Because they want to keep that bloodline. It's all about their bloodline, right? Like the royalty bloodline. So they want to keep it in the family, like Korn said with Ice Cube. So,
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Science has come a long way, buddy.
Yeah.
And it tells us that we need to have different genes, not the same.
Yeah. When you have the same genes, you generally don't turn out like this brother and sister where they seem pretty normal.
Beautiful.
Yeah. They generally would have a lot of issues like mental issues and stuff
and like physical issues like cleft palates and stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, you know, you could chalk this film up to being a little bit more style over substance, but I think there is enough substance in this film if you really kind of think about it. I mean, there's things that are going on. They play on a whole pile of different type of things, but you know, I mean, it's all in how you kind of interpret it, really. It, like I said, you know, it's a little bit messy in the narrative, but overall, it's a decent watch. Like I think I liked it a little bit more than the first time I watched it, just because I watched it more critically this time, or I shouldn't say more critically. I just thought about things a little bit more. So I don't know. I think it's decent for what it is. You know, it's very atmospheric. It's
good,
kind of gothic feeling. It's got a really nice tone to it.
It's very atmospheric. I like the obviously the incest thing is just creepy enough to like make me like it for that reason. The actual like I love the idea that like this like the period piece aspect of like this once prestigious family is like in ruins, and like, you know, the glory of this family is like now just like this never ending like repetition of two siblings having siblings living in a damn once beautiful mansion, you know, that's like falling apart.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a problem with the narrative, like with, you know, their not I just want to call him the lawyer. I'll just call him the lawyer. The guy that, you know, his family's looked after their family for like generations and stuff like that. There's nothing mentioned like he kind of, you know, he mentions a little bit like, you know, well, they're orphaned and like, you know, the trust is run out and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But there's no real mention of like this has happened so many fucking times. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah. You'd be like, yo, stay away from the weirdo family.
Well, yeah, because wouldn't you, like, if you were that guy and everybody before them has committed suicide, wouldn't you be kind of looking at this going like, is this going to happen again? Wouldn't that be a mention?
Hey,
I'm
you're a
not
little
sure if
suspicious.
the record keeping in the, whatever era this film set in was maybe the best, and people died way younger too. So
That's also
But I mean-
that's also fair. It
but-
definitely was not as efficient, and it was probably way easier to cheat something like this.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if you would know the family history. Like, I mean, the kids knew. I mean, people knew of like, their parents committed suicide and their parents and their, like, they say like 5 or 6 generations. It's crazy how long it was. I mean, people would know that shit. I mean, it's just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, right?
they
But there's no
probably
mention
believe
of it.
that there's a curse on the family because fucking everybody believed in that shit back then.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
subplot involving like the kind of the hoodlums that are picking on the fucking war hero who went and fought for the English and shit like that. Like,
I know.
like that whole subplot is just fucking. It's just ridiculous.
It doesn't even feel realistic. Like nowadays, I could see that happening, but like basically throughout like all of history, like war heroes were absolutely celebrated.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel
for
time
sure.
appropriate.
Yeah, but they're all pissed off because he wasn't fighting for the Irish, right?
Oh,
I think that's what the guy even says. He's like, "Oh, we fight
Were-
for our own kind."
were
And,
we
like,
on this? Were they on the same team though, or were they?
I don't know. Like I think he was fighting.
I don't
for
know the
English.
history of it.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure exactly how that worked into what, like, even battle it. What if World War? I don't even know what it was. It's pretty unclear actually. It's kind of ambiguous actually. Even in that too, it's like what the fuck are they even getting at here? But the whole thing just seems a little bit forced. It feels like it's just filling in time in the film. I don't know. I didn't really need all that shit going on. I feel like it didn't really add anything to the film. And I feel like his character was just brought in there just to be, kind of the sacrifice, really. It's really all that I got from that character was just the sacrifice. So
Pretty much. It was a little hollow.
yeah. Yeah.
The Lodgers is kind of a weird title.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean,
feel
The
like they
Lodgers
should've
is-
called it something else.
Well, I mean, the lodge, that's what they called the,
And
they refer to it as the curse, but like they refer to the curse as like a physical being though. It's like the lodgers, like them. They talk about them and they and stuff. And I'm like, they refer to it as like a physical. And I'm like, fuck, it's so weird, but that's why it's called, because they're called the lodgers, which obviously the lodgers is like, the host of the house kind of thing, like lodgers, people. So they're running the shit, man. They're running the shit. Yeah. But I don't know. It's definitely a mood piece for myself. Total mood piece. It's very gothic feeling. I really like I mean, if you don't like period pieces, I would probably say don't check this out because you're probably not going to get more out of it than maybe that you'd hope for if you're not really into these type of films. But I mean, the set design's great. Cinematography is great. Atmosphere is awesome. I think there's a lot of really, really great elements to this film. It's acted well. I think the brother does a good job as being like that fucking total scared human being. Like he's just scared of the future, right? Just terrified of it. And he's really anxious to get it on with his sister at times. Like it's creepy, dude. Like he wants to pound that punani. Like it's crazy. But
Some primal urges.
But he also feels like that's the only way that they're gonna get through this kind of thing too. So scared shitless. I think it's played well from that aspect, but the Lodgers. It's a decent film. It's decent.
Yeah.
What do you guys have?
It's decent.
I mean, there's really weird moments in this film. Like I can't really understand like her hallucinations and stuff. Like I don't understand. Like
this movie's definitely like kind of messy.
Yeah, like her hallucinations don't even make any fucking sense because her character is played off like she's totally sane. Like she knows exactly what she's doing. She has an agenda, which is to break this curse, get the fuck out of here. They don't play it off like she's having mental issues, like she's having, these moments where she's hallucinating and shit. Like I get it's almost like flashbacks of like her parents dying and stuff like that. I get those, but like, she has other moments where she's like seeing shit in the house and stuff. I don't understand how it plays into anything. Is it just the lodgers fucking with her head? Or is it actually her like losing her? Like I don't understand what they're trying to do.
A lot of this movie is like really unclear, and it kind of just feels like sometimes they just throw stuff like this at the wall just to like kind of stir in the atmosphere.
For like scare moments, maybe? For like
scare moments to like just try to like, I don't know, be like spooky stuff also happens in the atmosphere, just like to keep the movie on the track, I guess. But
I feel like they don't
messy.
Yeah, I mean that those things totally feel messy to me. I feel like they have to throw in those scare moments and stuff like that, but it's not like, at least they strayed away from like having those cliched like jump scare moments.
Yeah, this movie definitely wasn't cliched. I will definitely give it credit for that. And it looks like
they're a lot more subtle, because like when she sees these things and these things happen, it's not like you're hitting, they're not overpowering with the kick drums like and like, going fucking crazy with these like jump scares and shit. It's not like that. It's almost like, from the dark in a sense, like very ominous kind of feeling. It's very slow. It's very like dreary. It's very like, it's almost exhausting to watch a little bit, like in a good way though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you're trying to overthink like the narrative and trying to figure out things, like you're going to sit here all day scratching your head, because there's definitely moments where, something will happen and you're like, well, what the fuck? And then like with the rules were confusing to me, because the brother's stating at one point in the film where the sister is breaking the rules by going out and starting a relationship and stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing in the rules stating that she just can't go, she can't leave, she can't make a run for it. She is technically not breaking the rules by going to the store, getting bread, and kissing this one-legged fucking war hero. There's nothing in the rules, but he takes it as like she's totally breaking the rules, and he's like losing his fucking mind over it.
The way because they're supposed to have a baby, they're supposed to have twins together. So
yeah.
She's interested in someone else. It jeopardizes that role.
But he also states in the film specifically, like, she's breaking the rules by going out and doing that. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess from his perspective, he's saying that to kind of shame her a little bit, to being like, okay, we need to come back to me and we need to boink.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if you look at it like that, I guess, but yeah, that kid, and he plays that role really, really well, man. He's creepy as shit at times, man. So it was kind of like, when he lets in the lawyer, just to basically off him. I was kind of hoping like something more was going to happen from that. To me, it felt a little bit anticlimactic. I was expecting maybe the lawyers were going to intervene with this, like, you can't let anybody in, like something bad is going to happen, like to him, or like, but nothing really goes down like that. Kind of bugged me a little bit. No, doesn't bug anybody.
Yeah, it's just that's like.
But he's breaking the rules. He's not supposed to let anybody in. Something should be happening. Like, that's the thing. It's like I'm already kind of like accepting at this point. Like, the movie's kind of messy and it might just do some things. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that it's like something that's great, but it's nothing like at this point that I'm like, oh, this makes the movie worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You guys got anything else on the Lodgers? It's all right. It's not the worst thing you'll ever see. It does have a good atmosphere. It does have some nice cinematography in it. Like, if you're really, really into period pieces, I like them. Maybe if you like them even more than me, like, you might really, really like this movie, because they do a good job, like, creating this like very like period era, and I do like seeing that in movies. I always applaud that sort of thing. Yeah, the whole design of the film is fantastic. It has so much going for it. Like, all the specs of the film are really good. I think just the messiest thing is just the ambiguity of the narrative. At times it's a little bit confusing, because certain things are happening and you're like, okay, what the fuck? How can I connect these dots, right? Right. And so, like, when you can't really do it, it becomes frustrating. So I think that's kind of the down point to the film, but I mean, I still think there's enough there to get your own ideas out of it. And, work from there. It's still pretty solid. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's got that Inferno feeling at one point in the film. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's not as good as Inferno, because it's not as colorful as Inferno, right? This movie is very dull, because back in the day, everything was kind of dull, right? Yeah, but that's like Inferno's like a real like high point out, like the style over substance type deal, but like it's way more stylistic. Yeah, but Inferno actually has more substance than like you think it does, because it does get into explaining, like, it's starting to explain the three levels and stuff like that. Like, for sure, like, that's like, it's a much more like coherent movie. Yeah, because I mean, it literally tells you who the three mothers are in Inferno, like where they reside and who they are and what they're the mother of and stuff like that. So it tells you that, and that's really all you need to know.
Yeah, that's not like you need like all this detail in the world on anything.
No, you don't need to have a Suspiria remake where they over fucking do it and it becomes laughable. Like everybody wanted substance in Suspiria, and then they got it and they didn't like it.
Actually, everybody likes Suspiria.
Yeah, but me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that prefer that over the new one. I mean, over the original.
Oh my
can't.
Well, again, I'm going to use JP logic. Well, they're all wrong.
They all are wrong.
They're all wrong.
I like it.
I actually don't think it's very good at all.
Like there's way worse remakes. It's probably even on the upper echelon.
I actually like it enough to where I wish they did Inferno.
Fuck no. I mean,
I don't know if that was ever on the plate.
If we're gonna go there and say, yeah, there's of course there's worse remakes. There's tons.
That director has a movie coming out soon where like Zendaya is like the peace between two guys.
Nice.
It's like the tennis movie. It's like
I could see them fighting over her.
Yeah.
All right. Ratings?
Yep.
All right, Tyler, you go first.
Yeah, I think this movie's in a similar camp as From the Dark. It's got some nice style too, some nice cinematography, but I thought the payoff wasn't great, and it kind of just I didn't think like there was like it felt a little more hollow to me and not that fleshed out. So I'm gonna stay at 5.5.
Yeah, I feel like if this movie ended like the way they project nihilism in this, and the brother and sister like end their existence like their parents did and their ancestors did, I think that would have been such a better idea. Then you would cut out like, you know, the war hero subplot and all that other bullshit that goes with it. I think if you just play this one from A to B with that angle, I think it would have worked a lot better, because I feel like the whole thing is so nihilistic to the point where you don't get that out of it in the ending, right? I don't know. It doesn't honestly work as well as it probably should, for at least myself. But, you know, we're here reviewing the movie, not what it should be, according to my mentality, right? Because I'm right. I'm always right.
No, I think I am. I don't know. I was just like,
now, boys.
I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Yeah, no, I'm right. I'm going to give this one 6.5. I think it's solid. It has so many good, you know, obvious A points for like technical aspects to this, but it's definitely one of those films. I don't know if I would fully recommend for it's definitely a mood piece. These are the type of movies I have a hard time recommending to people, because some people might get a lot out of this and really love it, and some might just fucking hate it. And but again, I never fully not recommend films. I mean, check it out at your own discretion, right? But I think it's solid for what it is. It just, you know, it has its issues. What do you think, JP?
Yeah, I think that I like it. Hold on, wait. Did Tyler rate?
Yep,
5.5.
Oh, 5.5. And you gave it a 6.5.
Yep.
And I'll give it a 7.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you'd be right in the middle at a 6.
I think I like this one the best out of the 3.
Wow,
maybe I like
really?
Grabbers a little bit more. I'd rather watch Grabbers a little bit more.
I clear cut like Grabbers the best.
Yeah, it honestly went in order for me. Grabbers, From the I mean the same rating for those two, but if I was to pick one, I would watch Grabbers first because I like fun shit. From the Dark is like another mood piece, right? It's like, do I want to watch something?
I think
dark,
I like this
slow and scary
more than From the Dark. I would probably pick this before From the Dark.
And then this one I don't know. I mean, I
don't know. I gave all 3 of them 7s. They're about the same for me.
Yeah, I mean they're all solid in their own ways, right? In my opinion, but they're 3 totally different type of films.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're all drastically different.
Totally different. And that was the cool thing about the show.
First and second are both creature films, I guess.
One's like a comedy, though, and one is like, yeah.
Oh no! Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sorry about like tones. Yeah, like the first one's more, it's got comedy, and the second one's dead fucking straight serious. And this one's dead straight serious too, but like a totally different type of narrative.
Yeah, it's like a supernatural thing, and it's a period piece.
Even if they played this one a little bit more on the psychological aspect, would have been probably a little bit kind of a different angle too. But that's where I feel like they tried to get into it with like the hallucinations and stuff, and I'm just like, fuck, bro, you're throwing people for loops here, man. Just it wasn't making too much sense to me. But then again, I might just be stupid as shit. It's probably the case, really. Yeah, but anyways, that is the Lodgers from 2017, and that's gonna wrap up episode 2. What episode was 256?
I believe so.
Yeah, 256 Irish Horror Volume Dukes. We'll see you guys in another 150 episodes for Volume 3.
Right. Next week is going to be Hidden Gems now. We were going to do that fucking remake versus OG keeps getting pushed back.
No, we just
but we have a method to our math.
We just switched the weeks actually, just because of the prep for the Sin Bin show.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot more sense to do last week.
I'm so excited for this show. The only show I might be more excited for is a top 10 show.
Well, this is kind of a cool show because we've never done anything like this. Like, we usually do straight up reviews, but this is like our own picks and talk.
Yeah, I think this show is gonna like really let all our tastes and personalities like really bleed out. And like, there's just movies like I'm very excited to talk about that like I never can have a real conversation with people about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. It'll be interesting. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Something different anyways, right? I mean, we do have a big variety of shows that we do, but this one it's brand new, something brand new to the table.
Yeah, I'm kind of debating on like what's considered hidden. Like, is Hellraiser Revelations hidden enough?
No.
Or like, what about like?
It's hard to gauge.
I'm just fucking around.
I kind of like expressed when we were talking the other night about like how I felt about this, where it's like you can look at like views of a movie, but like I can think of like movies that are like really popular in horror that like 10,000 people have seen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I can think of movies that have like 10 times that like nobody's seen or like nobody talks about.
It really just depends on what your definition of hidden is. I mean, some people might think of like super obscure movies or like super indie films. They're hidden because like literally no one's seen them or heard of them.
Yeah, you know? I had a good internal conversation with myself about this, of like how I wanted to proceed before I started watching movies, because I did think like, oh, maybe I should pick like the most obscure movies, or maybe I should go in this direction. But I kind of just like, and I also kind of like had the internal conversation about what is like the difference between hidden and underrated, which is something we were also talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a big difference. Like, underrated is something that's like people know but don't like.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And I thought like
where hidden is like movies that probably most people would like had they seen.
That's
I think
kind of how I decided to.
I think hidden is.
I thought like you know, like people like I like that. Like these movies are like maybe the things that I was thinking of. Like they're all pretty well regarded, but like I don't think that makes them underrated. I think people just haven't really seen them.
I just try to pick films that I feel like, I've seen, I like, and I just don't ever hear people talk about.
That's exactly kind of how I am, like, regardless of like how like they might be popular on a macro scale.
Jesus.
I mean, until you showed me like, like the Letterboxd thing where you can click on that eye and see how many people have actually. So I did that with some of those films. I was like, holy fuck, like there's barely any reviews on a couple of films that I'm going to be talking about. And I had no idea, but I mean, I guess the way I approached it was correct, because like I really had not ever seen people talk about some of these films before.
Yeah, so, like basically everything I'm going to talk about, I feel like I've never, unless like I'm the one prompting the conversation, or like there's not really many people that have ever like seen these movies, and the people that have are like the deep hunter people. And like maybe people have heard about these movies in passing, but like
Tyler's going to have 5 foreign films. JP's going to have more modern stuff that I'm going to be like, well, okay, if you consider that's hidden, that's hidden. And then I guess I'll be the wild card on this one. But I mean, I was going to approach this from totally different. Like, I actually had a stack of films like, oh man, it's so many, dude. And I was like, man, we could do so many volumes of this. Like, there's so many movies, dude. I was going through my collection even last night, and I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like
so this is an exercise I had. Like, would you consider, like, for example, the movie The Sentinel really a hidden gem?
Which one?
Yeah, a little bit.
The
Really?
Sentinel?
I think, yeah.
I don't think many people
As
see
a
it.
hidden gem? See,
I think
I've
that
never-
movie's pretty popular in horror, right?
No.
I mean, honestly, I do.
Ew.
I give that movie a 10 out of. I love the Sentinel so much.
I love
it's
the
like one
Sentinel
of my favorite.
too, but like I often like most people I've talked to like in horror have seen the Sentinel.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Citadel.
No, the Sentinel.
Oh, the
Okay,
Irish film
never mind.
Citadel?
No, yeah. Well, I'm talking about the Sentinel, like the Michael Winter movie.
Yeah.
Not
So, like,
anymore.
for
And pretty
example-
much, dude, most shit that came out in the 70s or 80s is going to be tough.
That's what I mean. Like, so, like, I would say, like, most people in horror, like, that are good, dedicated horror fans,
Jesus.
like, have seen that movie, and like that has less than half as many views as like the movies I'm picking. So, like, on a macro scale, like that movie,
Like the Sentinel has half of the. Really?
yeah, and that's the I mean, like, that movie's pretty popular. So, like, it is like kind of difficult to gauge. Like, on like what's popular between like people that are like dedicated horror fans and like compared to everything else.
So some of the ones you have way more reviews.
Exactly, but it's
Weird.
like movies that like if you asked 100 horror fans, like most of them probably wouldn't have seen it. Maybe some have heard in passing, but I would say like maybe 10%, 15% had seen them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can just explain ourselves on how we made our lists when it comes to the show and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same criteria. It can be your own criteria. The point is,
and I
is
just
that
think,
you
like,
explain
either
yourself
way,
away
this is
with
going to
hidden
be like
gems.
a really good show, and like we're all going to expose like our personality like through like horror.
Yeah, I have 2 so far out of my 5 that I'm picking.
I can feel like we're definitely gonna have 15 different films.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna have the most
I would be
violent movie
shocked if
possible,
one
and
of
I'm
us had
sure
the
that's
same
not a
fucking
surprise.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna have the 5 I have. I'm not saying they're most obscure things in the world. I'm just saying I really highly doubt that you guys would be picking these movies. Is what I'm saying. So, but I mean, a couple of them I feel like the first one I actually, when we thought of this idea a long time ago, I still had it written down. I was like, I've like literally never heard anyone talk about this one movie. Like, it's crazy. So,
And like some of the stuff I'm gonna pick, I feel like I'm personally the biggest driver in the conversation of trying to get people to watch some of these movies.
yeah.
But
I mean-
yeah, it should be a good time. I'm really excited.
I mean, I just feel like a show like this, people will be interested, be like, oh shit, man. You know, I mean, if a lot of people listen to the show looking for recommendations and, you know, checking out things. And
Yeah.
I think this is like the ultimate.
If like someone were to watch this show and like listen to what I have to say about these 5 movies and even be persuaded to just check out one that they've never heard of, like I will feel like flattered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, all feedback is welcome too. I mean,
Well, one thing I wanted to do, which we haven't did we used to do a monthly giveaway.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to do that again, maybe, and maybe to start. I would like people to watch the movies we list, a couple of them to be entered. At least one of each of ours.
That'd be awesome.
And leave a comment with what you thought about the movie.
oh, so you have to watch it, leave a comment, and then you get entered in the contest.
Yeah.
That would be really
and
cool.
I'll just pick like some new release to give away. Probably US only because shipping is just too hard right now outside of the US.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Because I'm just going to ship it straight from Amazon.
Right. Right.
But we used to do monthly giveaways for the Patreon members.
I'll even put skin in the game too. If we do this, if you pick, I will, if possible, because I know what I'm picking. If possible, I will literally send you that movie if you do not own it. If you win,
if possible.
You know what? I can do it too. Since I'm the one in Canada, like if we have Canadian listeners that enter, and I will provide that for the Canadian people.
Okay.
I just say that because I know there's a big.
I'll just ship.
caveat with
If I
one
get it
of
from
my
Amazon,
movies.
I'll just ship it straight to you because I have a Prime. I don't pay for shipping, whatever. It's like straight to your doorstep kind of thing. So
yeah,
that'll work.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to go back to giving away some stuff here and there.
I know. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, the thing was I was going through like old shows when we were doing our, scheduling.
Yeah.
And I saw that like in the description, like I saw like the word giveaway a few times. So I was like, oh yeah, we used to give away one thing a month to the Patreon people, which we could probably go back to a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to sort of pay it back a little bit. But yeah, that's
All right. Well, I mean, I think that's everything, right?
yeah.
We're good. All right. So that's going to conclude episode 256, Irish Horror Volume 2. We'll be back next week, like we just said, with Hidden Gems. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really, really looking forward to doing the show. It's going to be just something totally different. And I'm so excited to find out what your guys' picks are. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just super excited. Oh, I just want to hear what you guys have. So
I think like the thing that's going to make this good too is I think we're going to come in excited to talk about all these movies.
yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, guys, we're out of here. I'm hungry. Need to go
I
eat.
just ordered a pizza.
Nice.
I got Jersey Mike's in the fridge.
Are you still at the hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right.
All right.
Check you guys next week. Deuces.
Yes.
That's all, folks.